hopefully Rod will have the kind of afternoon today that he had the other day.
Well, how about Rod coming back after missing those 7 ball games and playing like he'd never been away? Had a terrific game, and what he does is he creates opportunities for his teammates. And Gary St. Jean, after that ball game, said that he might be the best point guard in the West. He's one of the best point guards in the entire NBA. Just a great player. He has the ability to penetrate. If he can't get by his defender, he can pull up and shoot that jump shot. And we see on this particular play, following it up, he does a little bit of everything out there on the floor and makes his players better.
Now, here's Buck Williams, who had the big game just the other day on his 36th birthday. What does a veteran like Buck bring to this team heading down the stretch toward playoff time?
Well, he brings stability to the team. He brings the fact that he's been there before, and these guys can look to him, his young teammates, and all he has to do is play just like it's his birthday every night, like he did the other night. How about having 21 points and Buck playing like a youngster the other night, putting that ball on the floor, taking it to the basket, and what he does is he's always a competitor around the glass. He's going to be inside banging against some pretty big guys this afternoon.
Like Rick Smits, who is having a terrific year, and he's a very versatile player. This is the man they have to have, 7'4" in the middle.
Absolutely. Got great hands, and I was talking to one of their coaches before the game. They said one-on-one, he's unstoppable.
And, of course, you got to go with Reggie Miller, deep threat from the outside, one of the tough clutch shooters in the game. When they split the floor, you've got to find a way to get to him.
Absolutely. You've got to be with Reggie. He will shoot that ball, and he's got unlimited range.
Okay, it's Indiana and the Portland Trailblazers when we return. Welcome back to the Rose Garden. Eddie Doucette along with Keith Erickson. And the Blazers entertaining the Indiana Pacers. And not good news. They had this new lineup that they tried the other night, which was a very productive one, Keith, with Gary Trent and Arvydas Sabonis. They get to the Garden here today and they find out that Arvydas is not able to go because of a viral infection. They've been sent to send him home, as a matter of fact.
Really unfortunate for a number of reasons. One, just that for Arvydas that he would not be feeling well and have to leave. I know that it was a big game for him that he would love to play, and Chris Dudley will take his place in that starting center position. Arvydas only started 2 games, and boy, was he productive out there. But unfortunate, on the other hand, for the Portland Trailblazers in that precariously in that 8th position in the playoff race.
Yeah, that's a tough spot right now. A half game ahead of Denver, who's breathing hard, and very close to Golden State, which is just ahead of them, a game up in the 7th position in the Western Conference race. We'll give you a look at that a little bit later on. It's particularly difficult to go to war against Indiana without a Sabonis, because they start a center that's 7'4", they start a power forward that's 6'11", and they start a small forward that's 6'10". They're the biggest team in the league, and they beat the Blazers up on the boards in Indiana 11 days ago.
Big guys, and they've got big guys coming off the bench. They've got Antonio Davis coming in, and Charles Barkley played against these guys the other night, and Shinsius coming in, and he's over 7 feet himself. Charles Barkley said that these guys are big and strong. They pounded him all night long.
However, Barkley had the final laugh on that one. He had 37 in that game.
And 16 rebounds.
Yeah. Well, here's a fellow who is a very understated player, Derek McKee. When the paychecks are handed out, he isn't feeling too sorry for himself. But other than that, right, recognition-wise, he doesn't get nearly as much recognition as he should. He was the fellow that came to them in exchange for Detlef Schrempf along with Gerald Patio. This fellow here has turned out to be just as good, if not even a little better at times, than Schrempf. And that's saying a lot, because Schrempf is a fine player.
And Larry Brown just loves him. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to their coaching staff before the game. They're out here shooting around, and they were saying that there aren't many players in the league that are like this. They said they've got to force him to shoot the ball. They run a play for him to shoot the ball, and he still won't shoot it. He still passes the ball. So he gets on their nerves from that standpoint. How many guys have you ever heard of like that?
Very, very
That's
few.
Right.
Does that come under the category of unselfish?
Well, extremely unselfish, almost to the point of doing it the wrong way.
Now, the emphasis is going to switch a little bit today, obviously, without a Sabonis, who gives the Blazers so much offensive presence. And with the way that they played him the other night, having had a chance to spot him in each of the quarters, Chris Dudley is pretty much going to have to go it alone. He did not play the other day. He also had the viral infection. Does that mean we may see an Elmore Spencer, or possibly even more of Buck Williams, who's going to have to defend these big people down low?
You know, ordinarily I would think that Buck Williams would be the guy that would get the call to back up Chris Dudley, but when you're looking at a Rick Smits who's 7'4", I think it would be more realistic to think that Elmore Spencer might get a shot tonight to come in, being a 7-footer himself, to come in and lay that big body of his on Smits to try and keep him out of that lane.
Keith, one of the problems that Indiana presents to the Blazers or anybody else is the fact that they have the inside threat in this gentleman, Rick Smits, and then they have the outside arsenal, particularly in Reggie Miller. And when Ricky Pierce is with the team, he is not today because of an operation that his mom just had. But with Reggie Miller, you got to be aware that when they spot up outside, the defense, if they're sloughing off, sagging, double teaming or whatever, has to be doubly quick to get back to the open man. They do a great job from the perimeter, this team.
Well, your rotations have got to be precise, to say the least, when you go against this team because of Reggie Miller spotting up outside. There is no way that you can leave him open because once he gets it going, he's the kind of a guy that can shut you out, and in the first quarter the ball game can be over because when he gets hot, he's just unstoppable. And one of the other problems that they're having now is that if Reggie's not on from the outside, they haven't had consistency from the outside. You mentioned Ricky Pierce, who's not here this afternoon, but Eddie Johnson, they brought both veterans in, and Eddie has been very streaky, to say the least, lately. So they're looking for other guys to complement Reggie Miller from the outside.
Now, the one fellow that we have not talked about who needs mention right at the top here is Mark Jackson. He's their point guard. He's the rudder to this team. If you can keep Jackson out of the middle, you're doing a great job. But that's not an always easy thing to do. With Rod Strickland back, he's had good success against Mark Jackson. And the one thing you must keep in mind when you're playing him at the other end is you have to attack the basket. You can get to the basket on Jackson, but when he has the ball in his hands, he's crafty. He's done a fabulous job for this team. 6 of the last 8 games, to give you an idea, has had over 10 assists.
Absolutely, and he's the kind of a point guard that likes to create opportunities for his teammates, much like Rod Strickland does. Able to penetrate, and he's not always looking for points. He knows that they've got other guys that can score points, particularly as we talked about Smits on the inside and Reggie from the outside, but he will create opportunities for those other big guys around the basket. When the defenders come over and double team him, Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, Derek McKee down inside get a lot of easy shots because of the penetration of Mark Jackson.
Not only that, but when you're talking about making opportunities for people inside, you got to remember that with Smits at 7'4", Dale Davis at 6'11", McKee at 6'10", they are around that basket. A lot of second and third basket opportunities. Dale Davis's middle name is Mr. Offensive Rebound. He's the best in the history of this franchise, and he is always hanging around for those second and third shots.
He really is, and they are so strong. They punish you inside physically, so it's going to be a great matchup tonight with Trent and his young prowess. We'll see. He'll have a great test tonight going against these big guys, Davis inside. And Buck Williams will have another opportunity. He's been doing it for 13 years, and nobody does it better than Buck inside.
Just to digress a moment, if we may, Keith, you see the Phoenix Suns quite regularly. With playoff time around the corner, the Blazers pushing to try and get something done. Does Phoenix look like they're ready to make their push?
You know, Phoenix has been a very strange team all season long. The other night they played Indiana in Phoenix. And as a matter of fact, that was the first of 4 games that Indiana had on this West Coast swing, and Phoenix just ran them off the floor. They just handled them, as I mentioned, with the 2 big Davis guys, took turns pounding on Charles Barkley, and he just tore them apart. Suns won that game. They were great, and then coming out after that, they've been terrible the next 2 ball games.
All right, let's go right now to the Sweet Lemons for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The Sweet Lemons And they never hit a sour note. That's good on a Sunday afternoon here in Portland. All right.
Where'd you get that sense of humor?
Yeah,
anyway,
you gotta have a little, Keith. You know how that is.
Yeah, when you're on the road for 6 months of the year, you better, huh?
Darn right. All right, let's do this. We haven't seen Indiana. A lot of our fans haven't seen them. Larry Brown's got a nice team. Let's join Mike Stone and meet both teams in their entirety.
Alice Best. A 6'7" forward, number 8, Eddie Johnson. A 6'9" forward center, number 33, Antonio Davis. A 6'9" forward center, number 50, Adrian Caldwell. And a 7'2" center, number 55, Dwayne Shinsis. And now the starting five for the Indiana Pacers. Starting at forward at 6'10", number 9, Derek McKee. At the other forward at 6'11", number 32, Dale Davis. The center, 7'4", number 45, Rick Smits. At a guard at 6'1", number 13, Mark Jackson. And at guard at 6'7", number 31, Reggie Miller. The trainer for the Pacers, David Craig. Assistant coaches, Gar Hurd, Herb Brown, and Billy King. The head coach of the Indiana Pacers, Larry Brown. And now your Portland Trailblazers. Starting at 1 forward at 6'10", number 3, Clifford Robinson. At the other forward at 6'8", number 33, Gary Trent. At center, 7 foot, number 24, Chris Dudley. At one guard at 6'9", number 44, Harvey Grant. And at guard at 6'3", number 1, Rod Strickland. The Blazers trainer, Jay Jensen. Assistant coaches, Rick Carlisle, Johnny Davis, and Dick Harder. The head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, PJ Carlesimo.
So yet another test for PJ Carlesimo here this afternoon. No Arvydas Sabonis. So the ranks have been thinned considerably when you consider what you're going up against here. The Blazers come in here with a record of 27-34. That's 7 games off where they were a year ago, while Indiana had 39-22. And the Indiana Pacers, one of the real good teams in the NBA, second in the Central Division. They are the defending Central Division champions. Here's your lineup, and Keith, today we're going to take a look at a specific matchup which I think will be very interesting. It would be Miller and Grant.
Absolutely, and Harvey Grant at 6'9", getting an opportunity to chase Reggie Miller all over the floor this afternoon. He comes off of not only single screens, but double and triple screens, so it's going to be a great test for his mobility to try and keep up with Reggie.
There he is, Reggie Miller. And he's the fellow that turned down $32 million over 5 years from Indiana to stay, and everybody's wondering what he's going to do after the year. Dale Davis there with the face mask, broken nose a week ago. Mark Jackson, Rick Smits. They've got a nice team, Indiana. It took them a long time to get to this point, however. And they will be jumping up against Gary Trent, Chris Dudley, Rod Strickland, Cliff Robinson, and Harvey Grant. McKee averaging 11.7 and about 5 rebounds a game. Davis at 10 points and almost 9 rebounds a game. Smits at 7'4", 19 points and 7 rebounds. Mark Jackson, the point guard, just under 10 points a game and over 8 assists per game. And Reggie Miller, 21 points and about 3 rebounds a night. He's 6'7". Jackson, the smallest out there, at about 6'1". Deep post, Cliff Robinson. Starting out with the white headband here early. Usually it's the red, and then he goes to the black, but the Angels wearing the white one here on a Sunday. I like that.
Well, he felt badly because Arvydas is not here.
Pick and slip with Smits, and the big guys fouled on the way down Broadway. That's a big guy that a lot of fellas and folks actually thought probably wouldn't be this good. He's turned out real nice.
How about this pair, Reggie Miller and Rick Smits? I think individually they're almost unstoppable. And how about as a pair, the pick and roll? Cliff came over to help out and just a little bit late, and there isn't much you can do when that Smits at 7'4" stretches out all the way to get that layup down. And that's a major problem this afternoon, the offensive rebounding.
And Mark Jackson comes right back and gets it, and it's 4-2. 20 years ago, you could buy 2 franchises in the NBA for what they pay Rick Smits now. That may sound like a stretch, but it's not far from the truth.
How things have changed.
Oh, yeah. Cliff trying to get the ball in the crowd, and Harvey Grant lost it, and the Blazers with the turnover, and that's not a very good way to start. Blazers averaging about 17 turnovers a game.
You can hear the crowd's reaction to what they perceived as a travel.
Well, that's good. Try and get the crowd in it a little early, a little leap and lean, and Dudley with a rebound. And the hardest working man in basketball gives to Rob. That's Cliff. They need to get Cliff going. He has not been shooting the ball well at all since the All-Star break.
Rod did his job, got him a wide open jump shot. He just got to get it down.
Earlier, Cliff was knocking those down, and that's why Rod had his assist average on a nightly basis around 10.
And that's how Rick Smits has improved his game. Look at that mobility on a guy that stands 7 feet 4 inches tall. Watch Chris Dudley leaning on him with that forearm. Look at the quickness of Smits, and then the height advantage as he gets by him to lay that ball up on the glass.
Keith, when you start looking at the top-level centers in the NBA, Hakeem and Shaquille O'Neal and David Robinson and that group, where would you rate Rick Smits? Just a level below, or is he close?
Just barely below those guys. And I think that they do the things with a lot more flair than Rick Smits does, although he's only averaging 19 points a game. But he does so many other things out there that you don't see and don't show up in the stat sheet.
Well, you got to give the ball up to Reggie every now and then, too, and he's got 21 on a nightly basis. That was a nice follow by Cliff. Good ball movement. Crowd again thinks that they're shuffling the feet. Might be a little early in the day for the officials. It's kind of an early start here in Portland. And on the base, Dale Davis doing what you rarely see Dale Davis do. He's not that kind of a range player. He averages 10 a game. But his game is about 2-3 feet away.
And PJ is going to tell whoever's defending him all night long, let him take that shot. That's what you want to see him shoot.
Cliff not quite set there for the 3, and then he forces the 2. Cliff does not look comfortable out there and hasn't for some time.
That was not his shot. That didn't look good. Now that was Reggie's shot.
And it's 11-4 Indiana. And not the way PJ wanted to start this game, and now the Blazers will bring it down and take a timeout. And this will be a 20, I believe. That's exactly what it is. So the Indiana Pacers with a good start. They won a game Friday at Vancouver. And, of course, trying to head home after this one with a win under their belt.
We talked about Mark Jackson bringing the ball down the floor and distributing and creating opportunities. And there are times when you should pass to a teammate and times when you shouldn't. And that pass had to get there quickly before the defender, Rod, that time could come out and stop Reggie from getting that shot off.
Well, the Blazers trying to pull themselves together. Buck Williams comes on and Dudley is out. Dudley has to go out with 2 fouls, and there, of course, is the problem. Dudley having a hard time staying in the game, and we haven't even played 3 minutes.
In the lineup for Portland.
Dudley, of course, frustrated, but, of course, that also hurts the Blazers considerably because now you got to go small.
So PJ will try it small for a while and see how that works with Buck trying to wrestle Smits out of that lane.
36-year-old Buck Williams, who had his best game of the year the last game.
See Cliff hesitate that time?
Yeah.
Because he had taken a couple of shots that he was uncomfortable with before that. And that's what Smits does to you.
There's a loose ball foul right here against Indiana. Gary Trent heading the other way, didn't hear the call. Got to be aware of what the officials are doing, Gary.
See that shot that Trent took that time? How he had to change it up when he got inside, and there was the 7'4" guy waiting for you.
Sure, and even though Trent releases the shot at the top of his hand, which is where you're supposed to, it's
not
still
high enough.
too much.
Not high enough. And that doesn't show up in the stat sheet, Eddie. At the end of the ballgame, it was not a block shot, but it was certainly an intimidation.
Very nice dish by Cliff as he drew the crowd, and Buck drifting in along the left, jams it. It's 11-6 Indiana. Gary Trent in the last game was absolutely terrific. Last couple of games. Here's Smits again. Now, you're not going to be able to stop that But Keith, how do you deny position to a big guy like that? This is the same problem they had with Shaquille O'Neal a week ago last night in Orlando.
Well, he was far enough from the basket that time where you've got to have help coming over that's going to contest the pass into it. You can't contest him after he catches that ball, and his body momentum is already moving to the basket.
In deep they go. Back out to Davis. Smits. You don't want to give him the ball anywhere around that area. 15 to 18 feet away. He's deadly. He really is good. And around the basket, of course. And a foul call against Gary Trent. And Trent's going to get into it here with one of the officials. Joe Forty, Nolan Fine, and Jim Capers Jr. is the official who made the call.
Gary Trent didn't realize that the shot clock was running down to 5-4 here. You see right there, McKee looked over and knew that he had to get that shot up. He didn't have time to pass it. And a rookie mistake as Trent fouled him on the outside. McKee was going to rush that shot to beat the shot clock.
That's the third team foul on Portland. And McKee missing. Now, Indiana is a free throw shooting team. Of course, the Blazers, you know about that story. Indiana 75%. And McKee misses both. McKee, on the other hand, not a bad free throw shooter either. It's 77%. And comes up with one of those round biscuits on that try. Rod, Cliff, Harden. Not pure. Rod in the lane, tries to get the buck, and he threw it right through his legs. It's a great pass if you're playing cricket, but it doesn't work here.
That actually would have been the time for Rod to take that shot. There was nobody on him, and he was only about 10 feet from the hoop.
Cricket or croquet, that would have worked real nicely. 13 to 6, Indiana. On the delay, there's McKee. And nobody's sealing him off. Now let's get these matchups now. Right now, Derek McKee is being guarded by Gary Trent. And PJ's going to take a timeout right here. He's not happy at all, and understandably so. His team down 15 to 6 early. By the way, before we move on, we want to congratulate all the folks from South Salem who won the 4A championship here at the Rose Garden. Terrific win last night. They beat Barlow, and some very nice-looking young basketball talent coming out of the state of Oregon. 7 Division I players, Keith Erickson, coming out of the teams that were in the tournament this year. 7 of them. That's a pretty nice group of players that this state is turning out for major college basketball.
Historically, Portland has done that. They've had a lot of Danny Ainge and A.C. Green both coming out of Portland.
Right. Of course, Damon Stoudemire.
That's right.
He's a Portland guy.
He's having quite an effect in the league this year as a youngster.
Try to get a couple of those kids down to Linfield. Maybe they'll come down there and help the young Doucette kid have a winning season next year. But in any event, it was a well-played tournament, a lot of good talent. They had a nice crowd here at the Rose Garden last night. Well, they were telling some stories about some of the youngsters who weren't used to being here in town, and about how a lot of them came down here, used to being in the Coliseum, and when they got in here, of course, obviously in awe.
A little overwhelmed?
Many of them got lost in the building.
I can understand that. I got lost in here, too. My first time in a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, but look at you now. You found the best seat in the house.
Absolutely.
Right?
You can't buy these seats.
$15 to 6, Indiana getting a lot of inside looks. Most of their baskets have come on the base inside, attacking the Blazers, who have been weakened considerably without Arvydas Sabonis here this afternoon.
Well, they've had, as you saw, there's 7 out of 8 from the floor. That's just too good. Inside shots, and the one they had from the outside, Reggie Miller's 3, he was wide open when he shot it.
15 to 6, the Indiana Pacers. Whistle foul called, and it will be on who? Reggie Miller.
Yeah, that's that hated hand check call, hated by the players. I'm sure the fans are not too happy about it either. To see the action disrupted, the continuity of play stopped by a little dinky hand check.
Yeah, that extended hand. Of course, years ago you could do that. Now you can. Now, see, Reggie right there's got to fold that arm. They could have actually, if you wanted to get real ticky-tack, called him on that.
They could have called it again.
Nice little pull-up by Rod. He's got 2. Blazers 15 to 8 trailing. The Indiana Pacers of Larry Brown. They won the Central Division last year, and that's a tough division with the Chicago Bulls, This up-and-coming Detroit team this year. Indiana behind Chicago, so is everybody. Rick Smits again. And count the foul. Count the basket and give him 9 points. And Gary Trent's got his second. And if this keeps up, Smits may have a new career high today.
You're asking how you stop this play. You've got to stop Reggie from penetrating first. You just can't let him get down the lane like that and draw the two defenders. Once he does that, the play's over. Nobody was on Rick Smits on that side of the floor. He's got clear sailing all the way to the hoop. And in that instance, a three-point play. Once again, he's got 10 points.
And they lead by 10. In that game in Indiana at the end of February, they led by as many as 22 points in the first quarter. And at the end of the first quarter by 20, and the Blazers shot only 27% in that game. They've got to do better than that. Of course, they didn't have Rod, and there he is. And what a difference he made.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, look what's happening with the Portland offense. Everything on the outside here, and then Rod puts it on the floor and goes all the way to the basket.
That's 4. There's Reggie. Nothing. Bucks got it. There they go, and this is what they have to do. Run this big Indiana team. Rod down Broadway. Oh! And Harvey Grant tips it in, coming back down the yellow brick road. 18-12, a 6-point lead by Indiana. Harvey with the good follow. Yeah, it's nice to hang around and pick up some crumbs. And Harvey Grant fighting through the screen made it tough for Reggie to release that shot on that pin down, that screen down.
That's what helps, having that 6'9", that long arm coming out of the afternoon.
That's a nice challenge. Rod's pass a little soft, intended for Buck, but Jackson's got a steal. Mark Jackson. He averages about a steal and a half a game. Oh, he's been pretty good there and assist-wise. Now Cliff on Smits, too tough. And the big Dutchman, no, but Dale Davis on the follow. That's where you got to be aware of your man, and you've got to make sure you maintain body contact so you know where he is at all times.
Got to lay a body on these big guys. They are really active on that glass. Here's
a foul on McKee. Trent came out to try and receive the bounce feed from Rod, and McKee hooked him.
Indiana foul on number 9, Derek McKee.
All right, so that's the third team foul on them, and for Derek McKee, he has 1. Harvey calls and gets from Trent. Rod pops off the screen by Cliff. Into Cliff, they clear out, leave him some room. There's where you got to get him. Wow! How about that for a follow jam by Harvey Grant? Oh my goodness!
See, they've been using him in the wrong place. They thought he was an outside spot-up shooter.
My goodness! How do you want your pumpkin pie, with a little whipped cream, or just a little touch of ice cream? That was the big ball in the face. All right, the Blazers now trying to get some action out of Cliff so far. He's struggling a little bit here this afternoon. He has 2 points, but he's like 1 for 4.
Boy, that last shot, it was like a setup. That ball, and the time before coming down on a fast break, I think Rod wanted to pass that ball to Cliff on his right side, and the defender kept backing up and let him take it all the way to the basket.
And Harvey snuck in there. Now watch this follow.
Look at that ball get set up. It couldn't have been a better bounce off of that rim. Straight up and off to the right just a little bit, and Harvey had a clear path down the right side of that lane.
Harvey showed that he might be a pretty good volleyball player with that move. Keith, being an ex-volleyballer yourself.
Absolutely. When you can go up that high and time it that perfectly, it's nothing but straight down, just like Wilt Chamberlain would have done.
Oh, my. You ever see Wilt play volleyball?
Yeah, I played.
Did you play against him?
Played with him. We used to play in a traveling tour. 4 guys, Wilt and myself and Gene Selznick and another player, would play against any 6 players.
Come on.
No, absolutely.
How often did you win?
Oh, we won all the time.
It's like the king in his court.
That's exactly right.
Keith, or maybe Wilt in his court. They're the Indiana Pacers and what they've been able to do over recent years. And look what they did last year, jumping up to a franchise high 52 wins, and then they lose in the conference finals to Orlando.
Orlando and New York, the last 2 seasons in the finals. They'd like to get past that little barrier.
That bacon I had for breakfast just caught me at the wrong time there. Smits, and he's bumped by Cliff.
It was the third helping that caught you off guard there.
I think you're right. They'll do it every time.
There's Rick Smits with that spin move once again, backed right into Cliff, and then a little fake got him up in the air.
Shooting 2.
So at 4:39 to play in the first quarter now, the Blazers are over the foul limit. So the big Dutchman will go to the foul line. Not a bad free throw shooter, this guy, as he caresses the ball, does everything except kiss it.
Look at that form that he's got. 7'4", shoots that ball like a tiny guard out there.
Nice night at Vancouver. He even had his first career three-pointer in that game. He's got that little buttermilk mustache like Larry Bird used to have. You can hardly see it.
What's the point?
The point is nothing. I mean, he shouldn't have it. 22-14.
So just wipe that buttermilk off, huh?
Yeah, right. And Mark Jackson kicks the ball away. Hey, these two fellas, Strickland and Jackson, remember, played for the Knicks at the same time. Rod playing for Rick Pitino. Jackson wanted out of town. They got rid of him. Rod was there. He wanted out of town. Oh, boy, today's player.
Everybody wants out of town, out of New York these days.
And here's Smits. He gets trapped on the smaller, quicker Gary Trent.
Trent puts a nice little move on through the legs, takes it down to the baseline, and you could see Rick Smits. He had a little bit of hand on his hip.
Can't do that.
Not much of a foul.
Cliff. Almost a loose ball foul thrown out by Dale Davis.
Blocked by Davis. Cliff's got to remember that guy's 6'11", and he can get up in the air.
4 rebounds already for Davis. Jackson, McKee off the double down. Rod's got to get somewhere in between. And once he broke him down, McKee knew that he had solo action against Trent, because the topside help wasn't there, and so he just took it inside and beat him, and it's a 10-point Indiana lead again.
McKee's got a big advantage, that height. Nice hands by McKee again.
Yeah, he does that a lot. Here they come, 3-on-1. Easy picking.
How about you get down the floor in a hurry and you end up with Dale Davis handling the ball on the break and giving it up to Reggie under the basket.
Indiana loves to trap you on the sidelines. They love to do that, and they also utilize that half-court trap beautifully. That's one of the best things that they have in their defensive assortment of plays. Harvey open. Harvey drilling.
That's the play. That's all they need is Harvey to get that shot down when he's got it out there with consistency.
26-16, Indiana. Led by 12, now lead by 10. 3 minutes to play here in the first quarter.
Looking to move that ball around the horn.
Nice. There's Jackson off a Smith screen.
See, when you move the ball quickly like that, that's the kind of shot you end up with.
Mark Jackson, averaging only 10 points a game. He's a 41% three-point shooter. Trent trying to peel inside. Once again, if you join late, Arvydas Sabonis was sent home with a viral infection, and that really takes a big chunk out of the Blazers' offense here today. Here's the rebound deflection, Buck Williams to Mark Jackson. Tries to beat Rod down, and there's the jam, and they are just taking off right now. They lead at 31-16, and PJ has to burn another timeout. That's 2 and a 20 here in the quarter. And the crowd a little bit upset as they come down from the top with a little bit of booze here and there. So the Blazers trailing at 31-16.
Watch Mark Jackson when he gets to the end of this play. The double team there, Cliff coming over, shut him off at the hoop, and he got into the air, out of control, and there was his man cutting to the basket wide open. Take another look. Here's Jackson, and look at Cliff. Shut him off at the basket. Rod beat him down there also. He had nowhere to go with that ball, and at the last second, he saw McKee wide open coming down that lane.
So the Indiana Pacers are showing why they are one of the top teams coming out of the Eastern Conference. And if we go back to the first game in the first quarter, Indiana with 36, and they're tracking that right now with 2:20 to play here in the first. The Blazers had 16, and that's where they are right now. So not a heck of a lot of difference between this afternoon and what the Blazers went through back on February 27th at Market Square Arena. Portland right now, 44%, but Indiana, Keith, at 77% from the floor. I would venture to say all but about 3 of their shots have come inside.
Absolutely, and the good part of that is, from the Trailblazer standpoint, is you've got to figure there's no way that they can keep up that kind of shooting for the ball game.
Tuesday, Rip City Television, Blazer TV special, Ramil Robinson feature. I'll have my jump ball segment. The wild one will be there. We'll have a lot more. That's at 6:30. The Blazer pregame show will start at 7:15, and then, of course, the Blazers and the Lakers with Magic Johnson, Nick Van Exel, Vlade Divac, and the rest at 7:30 on Channel 8 and the Blazers Television Network. Aaron McKee, who had been a starter and played only 13 minutes against Sacramento, but had 22 game-high points against Indiana in the first game, is in there for the first time. Well, McKee is in along with D'Antonio Wingfield. Trent has gone bye-bye. Ramil Robinson is in at the point. So PJ making big-time changes. Here's Buck's best shot. That ball he gets on the left side comes back across the middle with that right-hand jump hook. 31-18, Buck with 4.
He wants to pick it up right where he left off after his birthday, huh?
PJ doing some things here today that you don't see him do very often. Boy, he junked that starting lineup in a hurry. Back to Mark Jackson. And nobody on him. Literally no one on him. If you're a pro at this level and you get that much room, if you don't shoot it, then you're going to embarrass yourself.
Mark Jackson, number 13, the foul is first.
Mark Jackson on the foul. Both teams are over the foul limit.
Shooting for Portland, Ramil Robinson.
And Ramil Robinson will go to the foul line.
Well, PJ's searching frantically for some defenders out there this afternoon.
Well, he didn't have much of a defensive effort the other night, but they won 117-105.
That's why he's got to shake things up. You can't continue to let a team shoot 77% against you. Just the shots were just too good.
By the way, the Blazers right now, Keith, I don't know if you knew this, that the 99.4 points per game that the Blazers average is a franchise all-time low. Previous low is 103-1 last year. So they look like they're going to crash that one. But they're only giving up 99.3 points a game. But the Pacers give you a little bit more than 96 a night and average just a hair under 100. So all the averages are down. The league has been deleted by expansion and a foul called on the play. This is on Aaron McKee. Both teams are over the limit, so you get the 2 free throws.
Indiana's having themselves quite a quarter here. Reggie putting that ball on the floor with the left hand in between 2 players. And they pinched him for that foul just before he was able to make that hoop.
Blazers show that they're having a problem matching up with Indiana, even though at this point they just have a slight 1 rebound edge in the game. You know, interestingly enough, as Miller makes the first and the second, the entire, I would think almost the front office of the Indiana Pacers is on the trip. They came out here because they wanted to examine the facilities in Vancouver and now here in Portland, looking to build a new arena in Indianapolis, where they have a very small group of luxury boxes in a building that really cannot do much in terms of additional revenue. Cliff, boy, there were 3 sets of hands there that time, and he got hammered with under a minute to play in the quarter, and this foul will go on whom?
It was on Davis. That's who it was. There's Buck taking it down inside, giving it over to Cliff, and he takes that ball up, and both of them are waiting there, Antonio and Dale. And you see that mask that Dale Davis has, had surgery on his broken nose.
Antonio and Dale, by the way, are not related. Antonio a little smaller than Dale. He's 6'9", and Dale's about 6'11", 6'10 and a half. All right, Adrian Caldwell comes in the game for them. Here's a big old hook and ladder, 6'9", 265 pounds, and Dale Davis comes out. They got to weigh him on those scales that they use on the highway for the 18-wheeler.
They are loaded with big guys out there on that Indiana squad. Huge.
Drive them over the truck scales when this team comes to town. They got a 7'1" guy as a backup center, Dale Shinsitz. There's Travis Best, their #1 draft choice at the point.
Antonio Davis going high in the air to grab that rebound.
Reggie Miller. Pretty good ball movement by the second unit. There's Best from Georgia Tech. And Wingfield, who doesn't jump real high, got up and got that one.
Blazers did a good job defensively that time. Kept that ball outside. Now, is that your three-point shooter?
That's all he likes to do. He's 6'9", spends most of his time out around the perimeter.
Well, if he can get him down, that's all right.
10-point lead now. Blazers come back with 10 and a foul call as they tried to pinch little Travis Best.
That is not a good foul of Rumiel swiping at that ball with only 2.3 seconds left in this quarter.
66% foul shooter this year. Travis Best from Georgia Tech was their #1 pick, low in the first round.
PJ is going to be telling his guys once again, you've got to beware of the shot clock, the time clock, the game clock. You've got to know what's going on. With only 2 seconds left, you don't take a chance like that to send the guy to the free throw line and give him 2 free throws.
You know, the Indiana Pacers, I think you'll agree with me, have done a nice job shoring up their bench. They go pretty deep now.
I bet they do.
Never used to be that way. Pierce and Eddie Johnson. Rumiel from half court.
Got a pretty good look.
Nothing more than a prayer, but he picked a good day to try that. Unfortunately, no answer. And at the end of one, 37-25, Indiana.
Normally, little Tommy Johnson wouldn't stand a chance against NBA star Grant Hill. But today, he's drinking Sprite.
You're in my world now, Hill.
Okay, so maybe Sprite won't make you a better athlete. But just to be sure, now we'll pit Tommy against sumo wrestler Katashi.
Good luck, kid.
The Franz Blazers 95-96 trading cards are here now. Get one card free in every loaf of both Franz and Williams Premium White and 100% wheat bread. 13 cards in all. Full color shots of all your favorite Blazers. Franz Blazers trading cards. A different card issued each week. Free in every loaf of Franz and Williams Premium White and 100% wheat bread. Start collecting your Franz Blazers trading card set today. This week's card features Harvey Grant.
Welcome to Blazer Vision, and we're at Paul's Place, the Rose Garden, and the Blazers down by 12 after 1. Portland shooting 48% in the first quarter. The Indiana Pacers at 70%. They were 14 of 20 unofficially. Travis Best will start out there along with Antonio Davis, Derek McKee, Dwayne Schitzis, and there's Schitzis, the big 7'1" guy I told you about. Johntonio Wingfield gets to Aaron McKee with Buck Williams, Rumiel Robinson, and Chris Dudley for the Blazers. There's Buck. And his shooting that he had going on Friday night, not quite carrying over here this afternoon. Of course, it's a little early yet. Got another opportunity or two to see him put a few shots up here. We'll tell you a little more later on. Davis on Buck. Dudley right there, and he loses the ball out of bounds. Dudley still very aggressive despite the fact that he's playing with 2 fouls, and he got those within 3 minutes in the first quarter. Wingfield. Dudley against the big Schitzis. Kept live by Buck for a moment. They've got it. Schitzis played at the University of Florida.
Well, they brought him in as a shooter, and he's not afraid to shoot that ball. He just hasn't been doing it very well for the Pacers this year. Eddie Johnson.
Yeah, Eddie Johnson. Nice follow there by Chris Dudley.
I like to see that a lot better than the last play where Dudley went down and was working for that little jump shot of his. Not a notoriously good shooter, but following it up on the boards, that's what he should be doing.
Yeah, they brought Pierce, as I mentioned, who's not here, Johnson, both 14-year veterans, and they've added so much depth to this team. Down to Antonio Davis. Here's Schitzis. He gets the 2. The only alumnus at the University of Florida who played basketball who had a longer rap sheet than Dwayne Schitzis was Vernon Maxwell. This kid was nothing but Peck's bad boy in college, and he's trying to straighten it out here to salvage an NBA career. Wingfield, he got fouled, he traveled. Which came first? Well, he got beat up pretty good before he started the feet moving.
Eddie Johnson's the guy, the culprit that time. Wingfield having no problem backing Eddie right down under the basket. But then when he gets down there, Shincius and Davis both coming over to help block that shot.
Haywood Workman in the game. Haywood has been a real strong defensive performer and protects the ball pretty well. He's in now. Travis Best, they've got Workman and Best in there to try and handle the ball. Eddie Johnson, Antonio Davis, and Shincius. The Blazers have got to try and make up some ground here with this group on the floor. D'Antonio Wingfield, both free throws good. Wingfield, a 78% shooter. He's a good shooter, this kid. Very young. He'd be on that Cincinnati team down there playing the one that just won the USA Conference title on Saturday night yesterday against Marquette. He's still a young guy, D'Antonio Wingfield. Aaron McKee attacks the basket. Beautifully done, but he comes up dry.
What a nice move. The little fake with that left hand. He got a couple of defenders up in the air, and he got fouled on the play for his efforts. Pass over the top from the outside. He turns around, and here's the big guy, Shincius, waiting for him, and Antonio Davis. Both of them went up in tandem, and he'll go to the line.
You know, I mentioned Shincius at 7'1". He's actually 7'2". 285 pounds. You thought I was kidding when I told you they weigh in on the truck scales on the freeway. This team is huge.
That is quite a pair at that center spot. Is 7'2" and 7'4" alone.
Yeah, these guys would pin those Toledos. Those Toledos wouldn't be able to handle these fellas. Got to weigh them in a meat locker. So far, the Blazers perfect at the foul line and trailing it by 8. Workman. There's your charge. That's a classic charge, and Wingfield stood in there, and this team out there on the floor for the Blazers not doing a bad job right now.
Doing a great job. Got this game back to within 8 points. Wingfield moves over a little bit. Did a nice job drawing that charge on Workman. All the little things, defensive plays, help out. You can take control of that ball and get some good shots. There's the opportunity with that group out on the floor, as you mentioned, Eddie.
Remil Robinson trying to get it in. McKee has it taken away. And here's Haywood Workman. Shinson, he had his best game, believe it or not, against Shaquille O'Neal. Ramil looks to spot up, now sets up and goes down here to Aaron McKee. Cleared back. There's Wingfield on the perimeter again. He loves it out there. Get back and cover. Yeah, well, sometimes these young kids, they miss a shot and they get their head down and they forget about what's going on down the other end.
The other team scoring.
Antonio Davis took the bump from Chris Dudley, and Dudley, he doesn't get the benefit of too many calls.
No,
I must tell you that.
He doesn't.
10-point Indiana lead. Wingfield. Well, you know that things are a little rough when you're trying to get the ball down and Buck is your go-to guy. That's not really what his job is. He'd be the first to tell you. Buck Williams has been a master at boarding, defending, and then the scoring always came last. But now they try to set him up for a shot. And he didn't get a foul. And Eddie Johnson, however, gets the foul call from D'Antonio Wingfield. Wingfield has one. The Blazers have one. 7:51 to play here in the first half.
Buck still talking to the officials about that non-call at the other end when he was taking that ball into the lane, and really not his shot. Eddie, that little left-handed hook flying across the lane.
Well, Buck's telling these guys, look, I've been around this league 15 years. You talk about sweat equity, buddy. How about giving the old guy a little respect and maybe giving me a call every now and then?
Absolutely. Doesn't always work, does it?
No.
He's had that physical presence all these years. Been a banger.
Both free throws by Eddie Johnson good. That was very predictable. Johnson's been a good one. Ramil trying to bang the drum slowly. Wingfield. See what I mean about him? Spends all his time away from the basket. He's 6'9". He's got to develop an inside game, I would think.
Well, the problem is when you're going against a team that shot 70% in the first quarter and all of your shots are coming from the outside, that makes it real difficult to have any kind of a comeback.
All right, we have a timeout. It's 43-31. Indiana with 7:22 in the half. Now here it is. This is a big race right now. 21 games left, including today. The Blazers a game behind Golden State, only a half a game ahead of Denver and Sacramento. So it's a four-horse race for the final two spots in the Western Conference, and it could go that way right down to the final day.
Absolutely. Boy, and the Blazers getting a break, at least from Sacramento. They're going south fast. But Denver's playing awfully well lately, and so if Portland could pick it up a little bit here. But unfortunately, Sabonis being ill today, this is a big game.
Well, this is the one game that you could ill afford to lose Sabonis. His size is so important against this team. And Cliff continues chilly. He's 2 for 7 in the crowd on him a little bit. In deep, stripped. Here come the Blazers. Rod Strickland out ahead. Wingfield takes to the basket. Give it to him. Give it to the big guy. And send him to the foul line.
Well, Workman didn't play that defensively very well. He was back right there. He was back alongside Wingfield. And look at the little bit of a slap on the arm. You've got to make sure the guy doesn't make the basket right there. Rod Strickland did a nice job, sees the floor real well. Lead pass, Wingfield takes it in nicely.
3-point play for D'Antonio Wingfield. And he has 8 points in the ball game. And 5 of those have come here in this quarter. And the Blazers right now are 9 for 9 at the foul line. That's right. I'm not kidding you. That shot by Eddie Johnson blocked by Wingfield. Here comes Rod. Rod looks like he's hobbling a little bit. Like maybe that groin pull is bothering him some. And he talks to PJ. PJ's probably asking him if it's all right. You knew that the first game back he didn't play, Keith, because that aggravated groin pull. But he looks like that's causing him some problems right now.
Looked exactly like PJ was asking him that question right there. Rod indicated that he felt okay. And now the big three coming back for the Pacers.
We saw a shot of Paul Allen and Bob Whitsitt sitting on the end, and there's absolutely nothing they can do about that. The groin pull is probably one of the toughest to diagnose and toughest to treat. It's a difficult one to get to. 43-34 Indiana. Had a couple.
There you go.
3. D'Antonio Wingfield is having an afternoon. This was a Bob Whitsitt project. He liked him. He had him in Seattle. He brought him down here when the kid was out there treading in neutral waters. No place to go. Mark Jackson. McKee. Back along the base, and the Indiana Pacers throw it away. That was intended for Reggie Miller, and now it's a 6-point ball game. Larry Brown has had a little problem at times with softness from his team. What he'd like is a little bit more toughness. Guys who go out there and bang a little more. They certainly have the size to do that. Rod to Cliff on the base. He started before he had control, and he gets it back. McKee measures it, and Antonio Davis has got it. Rebounding is all even at 14 apiece. Here's Reggie. Reggie looked like he wanted to get the shot away, and the ball was deflected to Davis, and Davis gets his 4th. 45-37, the Indiana Pacers, as we're closing in on 5 minutes before halftime.
Got to be in the right place at the right time. Rod Strickland with a little penetration and a nice shot. Larry Brown bringing back Dale Davis, so they'll have their original starting 5 on the floor in the next dead ball.
It looks like Rod's trying to run through that groin problem. Oh, here's Miller wide open. See, right there is where Aaron McKee has problems. Defending at the other end sometimes. That particular instance, they set the double screen. Miller used it beautifully, and now he gets called for the foul here in the backcourt.
Reggie and that lousy foul on the backcourt. That's just not a good one at all. And remember the last 2 baskets. Here's Reggie stepping out on Rod. He's not going to steal the ball from him out there, and a little bit of contact. He's going to get the foul call. But here's the second of their last 2 baskets, Eddie. A layup, no help down low. And remember the time before? Antonio Davis with a slam dunk. Both baskets right under the hoop. They're just getting the shots that they're getting are just too good.
You know, it's almost hard to believe that the two best players that the Blazers have as far as points scored, Cliff 21-6, Rod 19-3, are two of their worst free throw shooters. Reggie Miller on the reverse off that room service pass by Mark Jackson, and he blew it. So the Blazers are still in this thing after having made 9 straight free throws. Rod misses a couple. Cliff! He hits the three. Cliff Robinson, he's got 7. 47-42, Indiana by 5. Wingfield has gone out of the game. Harvey Grant is checked in with Dudley, Cliff, Rod, and Aaron McKee. Yet another lineup combination out there for P.J. Carlesimo. There's your back door. McKee turned his back. Well, here's what you tell young people not to do if you can avoid it. Turn your back on the ball. And McKee, just following instincts, got called for the shove. And so that'll be the 3rd team foul on the Blazers.
One of the toughest guys in the game to guard, Reggie Miller, always moving, always coming off screens, that time on a cleared side, going back door.
47-42 Indiana. As we've indicated on a couple of occasions, rebounding is a must here today. And right now, Indiana with a 1 rebound edge. The Blazers overall, Keith, have been doing a very good job of rebounding, but there are teams that they do have rebounding problems with. As a team, they're averaging about 45 rebounds a game. Now, Indiana, surprisingly, is under 40 rebounds a game, but they shoot the ball pretty good too, 49%. So sometimes there are not a lot of rebounds left over.
Well, they're the 2nd best field goal shooting team in the league, and there aren't that many shots, many rebounds left over. But that's surprising when you look at the squad that they've got, the size that they've got, height-wise, and the physical play of those guys. You would expect them to be averaging more than 39 rebounds a ball game. That's 25th in the NBA.
No.
There are only 4 teams worse than they are.
Larry Brown has done a beautiful job. He is the reason why this franchise has come back. Not taking anything away from Donnie Walsh, their general manager, has done a nice job also. But they needed the man on the bench that could pull it together. Larry Brown, with his 801st career win at Vancouver the other night, is a terrific coach. Problem with Larry is he's like tumbleweed. He never likes to stick around very long. And maybe college is the ideal place for him, where he shuffles guys in and out of there every 3 or 4 years. The Indiana Pacers, Rick Smits, he got all of those in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he did. Not really a surprise, particularly with a much smaller Pacer or a Blazer team that they can throw out there. No Arvydas Sabonis today. Very quickly got Dudley in foul trouble, but this fella, big surprise. 11 points so far for D'Antonio Wingfield, and did a couple things at the defensive end, which surprised me.
Blocked his shot, hustled down the floor, did a real nice job.
So the CBA is going to have to wait a little longer for D'Antonio Wingfield. He says, I want to stick around here. I like the per diem, and I like the plane. I'm not interested in that bus.
Paul's plane?
Paul's plane. What do we have here, says Joe? An illegal defense.
Illegal defense. First violation.
Illegal defense called against the Blazers. PJ not complaining, so he's well aware of it. Looked like Dudley was cheating over in the lane. You got to stay within 6 feet of your man. You got to either play all the way over to the ball or all the way back to your man.
Blazers doing a much better job in this quarter from a defensive standpoint until one-on-one that time McKee going against Harvey Grant. But they had been shooting just 36% to 39% here in the second quarter to the Blazers.
Say what we said earlier, and that is Derek McKee, very underrated. Look at that. Great defense on Harvey. Took away the first move from him. Harvey wanted to cross over and go left. Now you got a shoving foul inside on Dale Davis, and you're going to send Cliff to the line for a couple. Now these become big free throws, and it becomes important that he take his time on his first one.
See what goes on down low, and there's the foul. Look at how Cliff is leaning in Dale Davis with that big forearm in the back. The little extra shove is what got the call, but I'm surprised when they can make a call like that because of the continual roughhouse that goes on inside. How can you distinguish one from another and not call them all when you make a call like that?
WWF.
That's right.
Cliff had a rough night the other night, 3 of 11. And I almost think that Cliff is a very emotional guy, Keith. Those are 2 big free throws. I'm happy to see him make them. But when the crowd gets on Cliff, it gets to him.
Real sensitive.
He's got to be tougher-minded than that because this is a rough business. If he's not going good, you got to keep doing the things that got you where you were and forget about the crowd. Forget about the fans or the writers or the broadcasters. Whoever's going to criticize. Do your thing, man. But you got to be tough-minded. And Cliff could use a little of that. Larry Brown was a pretty tough-minded player when he played.
Cliff was getting tough that last time. He got called for a foul. Wrestling with Antonio Davis, trying to keep him out of the lane.
They took Dale Davis out with 3 fouls and brought Antonio in. Antonio and Cliff. Good rebound as Wingfield, who just came back in the game, got a strong board in traffic. There he is. Plenty of time. Boy, he had a lot of time to set on that one, didn't he?
He got a real good look.
Paul Allen said that ball should come back to Portland.
Paul wasn't the only one. All the fans down in that end of the building. And it definitely looked like Antonio knocked that ball out of bounds right in front of Cliff.
And an offensive foul against the Indiana Pacers, Derek McKee.
Offensive foul number 9, Derek McKee.
Now, it was interesting watching Paul talk to the official. He said, I got a few million reasons, buddy, why that was for Portland's ball.
And the first reason, this is my house, huh?
All right, let's see him. There he is. He said, come on, that's our pelota. Don't you understand a little Spanish? There's a guy who's into it. He loves his team, and he loves the game. He is a fan. Strickland. Hey. Looks like an overripe melon he's throwing into one of those garbage dispensers, doesn't it?
Yeah, unusual looking shot. Going to take measures into his own hands here to get things going. Nice comeback from the Blazers.
3-point difference now, and here's the Dutchman.
Impossible to stop.
Yeah, well, even with his wooden shoes on, he's tough. And Dudley is just not big enough. And you can't, we saw this last week in Orlando. You cannot, in some instances, shove some of these guys off the block. You can't do it. So you got to deny him that deep post position at the start. Don't let him get that deep. Indiana by 5, 51-46. Here's Sir Reginald.
Give it up. Give it up. Almost. It was, he had Rod Strickland in the middle calling for that ball.
Oh, my. Reggie on the spot up. Where's the tap? McKee inside. That's no good, and the foul call. Well, how about Reggie Miller coming down the floor? With that head shaved and those 2 ears, he looks like a 46 Buick driving down an old highway.
There's
with the doors open.
The time before, Wingfield took that ball a little bit too far. Turned out all right that time, but he had Rod Strickland in the middle. Eddie Johnson with the tap, keeping that ball alive, and Mark Jackson coming up with the second effort. Unusual little ritual that Mark Jackson goes through every time he goes that free throw line. And evidently it works.
I know priests that could hear confession in a shorter amount of time than it takes this guy to shoot free throws.
He lifts that arm and he rocks back and forth, and he does it same amount of time, the same number of times each time.
53-48. The Blazers down by 5. 1:15 to play in the first half. Jackson, Antonio Davis, Rick Smits, Reggie Miller, and Eddie Johnson are on for Indiana. Here's Clifford. Get the banker to go and won't. And fouled on the play. Geez, I'm actually pulling for these guys today because I know how bad those plane trips can be when you lose.
Boy, you bet they are. Watch Cliff this time. Puts that ball on the floor. Goes by Reggie down into the lane. He's going to go as far as he can before the defenders come over. And Antonio Davis right there with the body contact. And Cliff just can't buy a break this afternoon. Or of late, he's just having a tough time shooting that ball.
Next week, Keith and I will be here for a 5 o'clock start against the Dallas Mavericks. That was originally scheduled to be a 1 o'clock start. So call your cable company and make your plans now. But don't be fooled by the schedule. They've changed the start time. They've moved it back from 1 to 5 next Sunday, Dallas, and that has playoff reachings because the Mavericks are not that far out of it either. They could make a run here down the stretch. So that's a big game, and Keith and I will have it for you on Blazer Vision. Johnson, he's tough to know. Not this time. And Rod taps it over to Mark Jackson. 3-point ball game, final seconds of the first half.
Got to get the offensive rebound.
That was good defense by Cliff Robinson, right up in the face of Rick Smits. Rod will work it free. Rod will work against Action Jackson. Here's Rod.
How easily Rod gets down that lane into the hoop.
He's the best in the NBA at stirring the colors in the paint. He's a human kaleidoscope in the paint.
Incredible. Look at that job. Mark Jackson's not a bad defender. He got all the way down there until he ran into the tall timber. Amazing. Just amazing.
Remember what we talked about before the game, Keith, and that was that Rod had to attack the basket, and he did there, and of course the result is he's on the line.
Absolutely, and creating opportunities. If the defender comes over like he did that time, he'll be able to dish it off.
Keith, he's just not a good free throw shooter, 64%. But look at how, Keith, now you have played a lot of ball on some great NBA teams. Watch how he shoots the ball. Watch his release. He's pushing it.
There you go.
That was better. That was one of his better ones. But he's been shot putting the ball.
With a little bit of hope and prayer at the end of it. Last possession of the half. (53-51) Portland. Now you're going to have to add a couple now. And with 3.5 seconds left in the half, Cliff is going to try and launch when Smits is on it. But if it goes, now that was a dry heave. He got nothing out of that but air. We've played a half. The Blazers have come back after being down big time. And at the half, they trailed by 4, 55-51.
Tune in Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. to KGW Northwest News Channel 8, just before your Blazers play Magic's LA Lakers. Watch Rip City TV. See your favorite team magazine come to life. This half-hour special features Wild Mike Rice, Rose Quarter Spotlight with Bill Schonley, and Steve Jones one-on-one with Ramil Robinson. Rip City TV. Tuesday night at 6:30 on KGW.
It's a 55-51 game, Indiana at halftime. And we are being bombarded by paper airplanes. Yeah, it looks like somebody's getting married, and that's confetti on the floor. I guess whoever hits the center circle, is that the idea? Maybe there's a little bullseye out there at the center circle, and there's a couple out there. I guess you sign your name to it, and whoever hits the center circle, they come up with some kind of a prize. It may be a trip to the Wright Brothers Museum, Orville and Wilbur. Yeah, they're measuring.
Is it too late for us to throw one out from here?
Go ahead, Keith. Go ahead. You got one last shot.
I got to change my name, change the name off of the who's on here first.
Not very good, Keith. Not very good.
As long as that wasn't on camera, that's all.
Yes, indeed. What it takes to have fun here at the Rose Garden. You ought to make a plan to come on down and join us, because it is a fun time down here. And if you can't join us in person, it's always nice to have you on Blazer Vision. So make your plans, because we've got plenty of Blazer Vision games coming up. This is Keith Erickson, in case you didn't note. Keith is kind of like Snapper's stand-in for a while. Keith is with the Phoenix Suns. He joins us on a half a dozen games or so, and it's always good to have you with us. Let's take a look. Nice little airplane right here in my lap. Here are the highlights from the first half.
In the first quarter, Indiana was spectacular, and that was one of their few shots from the outside. They only missed 6 shots in that quarter, shot 70%. Reggie Miller is the main culprit. Reggie doing a great job. And boy, when you've got two guys like Reggie and Rick Smits, you're in big trouble. They run that two-man game awfully well. Smits rolling to the basket is a big target, and he can finish.
He had 12 points in that first quarter. He was on fire. And all their baskets, for the most part, came right in there.
Absolutely, and once again, you saw Dale Davis getting that pass from Derek McKee, and he was wide open taking to the basket. Blazers having a tough time defensively in that first half. Well, the first quarter, actually, Rod Strickland doing a nice job penetrating, creating, taking that ball to the basket, and boy, is he amazing. And that was the time I was telling you, I thought he wanted to pass it over to Cliff, who was waiting on the right-hand side, and the defender kept backing up. He had to take it all the way. Cliff turning around, a little jump shot. That was the play that Harvey came down the lane and threw it down over Rick Smits.
Ooh,
he liked it himself.
Yeah, that was that pumpkin-in-your-face routine.
Absolutely. Derek McKee backing up, and then Mark Jackson got that little tippy toe on the line, only got 2 on that shot. The bench thought he should have had 3. He got a couple of those 3-pointers in the first half.
Well, if you're going to give him wide open shots, he's going to hit them. I don't care who you are. You're playing at this level. You got to be able to do that.
Mark Jackson could shoot it from the outside. He can penetrate. Remember that time I was telling you, out of control, up in the air, and then lo and behold, there's his teammate McKee coming right down the lane. Got an easy layup on the play. Rod,
he's the best right here.
Unbelievable, the things that he can do. Crossover dribble, takes it down inside. Soft little push shot, like you were talking about his free throw. Same thing on that little jump shot, little push.
That little overripe melon that he's trying to throw into the dumpster.
Well, he controls things awfully well, and he's the reason that the Blazers got going here in the second quarter. They shot 39% in the second quarter, but Indiana only shot 36% in that second quarter after 70% in the first. That's what you call going cold.
Yeah, that's they both got a little chilly, but I think also what happened was that both teams decided to play a little bit more defense, and of course the Blazers were able to cut that big margin down to a 4-point lead at halftime. We're going to take a break. By the way, this little deal we have out here at halftime, the Alaska Airline flight time. Cute little idea, but then again, doesn't surprise you. Alaska's always coming up with cute little ideas.
It's not too late. Give it a shot.
I could ride one of those things all the way from here to San Diego. Okay, halftime. NBA players are big celebrities in demand, and they're liable to turn up anywhere, as you'll see when we come back.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the NBA.
And the category tonight, top 10 things overheard at the NBA All-Star Game. What a contest, by the way, yesterday. Oh, my God.
This is Grant Hill in Detroit, Michigan, and I just want to say, good morning, America.
Well, you guys heard about all the excitement here yesterday, right?
What excitement?
Scottie Pippen came in.
Here.
He was not.
Number 8, will the squeegee guy please report to Charles Barkley's head?
In fact, we had footage of you working out. Did you? I don't know if you ever saw. Here he is working out. Maybe you put on a couple. There's magic right
there. Tell Dr. Ross Scottie Pippen was in here.
Oh, yeah. And so were Jordan and Rodman. Jerry and Tanya and I beat them 3-on-3.
Tell us about that and what the message was. How did you get involved in this day in school program?
You know, kids these days, they want to listen to their peers and people they see on TV, so I think if you're in a position to make a difference, you got to take that responsibility.
Number 2, I'm sorry, Mr. President, the dunking competition has nothing to do with donuts.
Excuse me, just a second. I mean, I know how you feel. Hey, can't you see where...
Hey, Jerry, right?
Uh-huh.
I just want to thank you again.
You're welcome. Can you stay here for just 1 minute? 1 minute. Dr. Ross.
I'm busy with you, Jerry.
He's here. Scottie Pippen.
Jerry.
Okay, I'll bring him here. Where'd he go?
Who?
Scottie Pippen.
Is he kind of a tall guy?
Yeah, you could say that.
Said to tell everyone thanks.
Like they're gonna believe that.
Hardaway resident.
Lou Penny?
Hey, what's going on? How's the road trip?
It's all right. What's all that? Are you having a party in my house?
A party? I'm just sitting here reading the book. Caught the game last night. Let me just put it this way. You're the best player in the NBA. I mean, those spin moves and the dunks. Oh, too delicious. I had to go outside and do some Tai Chi just to calm myself down.
Man, you are having a party. I swear. if you and your sloppy friends are messing up my house...
Oh, thanks, baby. Meet me by the pool.
Hello?
Hey, I can't talk now. I'm driving through a tunnel.
Normally, little Tommy Johnson wouldn't stand a chance against NBA star Grant Hill. But today, he's drinking Sprite.
You're in my world now, Hill.
Okay, so maybe Sprite won't make you a better athlete. But just to be sure, now we'll pit Tommy against sumo wrestler Katashi.
Good luck, kid.
And welcome back to Blazer Vision. We are at the Rose Garden, and the Portland Trailblazers entertaining the Indiana Pacers. In the first quarter, Indiana entertained everybody else because it was all theirs, but the Blazers came back and outscored Indiana by 8 points in the second quarter, and now have made a nice game out of it, 55-51, and Portland without their big force, Arvydas Sabonis. Some of the statistics at halftime, Keith Erickson.
Rick Smits doing a nice job, as you would expect. Smits was 5 out of 7 from the floor with 14 points. Mark Jackson had 9, and Reggie Miller with 8 points, and in a pair with 6 apiece. Leading scores for the Blazers, Cliff had 13, D'Antonio Wingfield with 11, Rod Strickland and Harvey Grant 9 and 8. And for rebounding department, Dale Davis and the point guard Mark Jackson, Antonio Davis all having 4, Dwayne Schincius with 3. For Portland, Wingfield had 5, Dudley 4, Grant and Robinson had 3 apiece. And field goal percentage, Indiana 54%, but that's down because they shot 70% in that first quarter. The Blazers had 44. Free throw percentage is pretty even, rebounding even. Assists, look at Indiana's 15. Portland only has 6 assists in the first half. Turnovers at 6 and 5.
Well, this is a fellow that's been sitting out there for a long time waiting to get that first ticket to a Blazer game, and he vowed never to shave until he got a ticket. And so for years he's been sitting back out there eating some wild berries and having a good time with life, and finally somebody came up and said, "It's all yours." You sure now will you get rid of that darn beard?
You sure that wasn't Bill Walton, huh?
A distant relative. Very distant. They both eat, they have the same diet, though, I'm sure. Here's Reggie Miller and Larry Brown. They haven't been seen conversing together in a very amicable. There seems to be a little dispute going on there. At times, Larry Brown has said that I'm not a real Reggie fan. Reggie has said I don't like Larry yelling. You know, the usual routine, players and coaches.
Players and coaches.
Now, we hear it around here all the time.
You hear it in every city where there are teams and players and coaches.
Well, you kind of hope at some point in time, Keith, that they'll yank down the big top and put these teams back on Broadway where they belong. Forget about the circus. 16 road wins, that's nice. That's as good as it's been for them. And both of their owners are here today. Their general managers, some front office people, getting a good long look at the Rose Garden.
You know, that we saw that road record with 16 and 16. That's 7th best in the league. Do you know there are only 6 teams over 500 in the NBA today?
Yeah, isn't that the way it works? It's strange sometimes, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And Orlando is not one of them.
Cliff has gone to the red headband now. So he went, he dressed down with the white halo in the first half, and now he's going red here in the second.
Well, hopefully that'll improve his shooting. It was 3 out of 9 in that first half. Did have 13 points, and that's because he was perfect from the free throw line, hitting all 6.
The different hues of Clifford Robinson. Speaking of Robinson, it's been a game and a half since James Robinson's seen the floor. Wonder when he will. He didn't play at all in the last game and didn't get out there at all in the first half this afternoon. There's the big Dutchman against Dudley. They double down for help, and Mark Jackson shoots over. And the 7'4" Dutch boy in the paint comes away with one. Rick Smits, Marist College, second pick in the draft when he came out. People said, who?
Good job, Chris Dudley coming over to help out.
Excellent job by Big Duds with those steel-toed sneakers. And Rod comes back and squashes one at the other end.
Eddie, I think we need to see more of that in the second half. Rod only took 7 shots in the first half, and Harvey Grant only 6, but they both made 4, so they were 8 of 13. When you've got some guys that can get it down or shooting well, you've got to get the ball in their hands. You've got to tell them to shoot the ball.
Only 2 assists for Rod in the first half, averages 9.6 per game. I really think that that groin pull is bothering him here today. Ball knocked away. The Pacers bring it in with 8 seconds before they have to pull the pin.
Nice job, Harvey. Good hands.
Cliff and Rod in the middle. There's Harvey filling the lane.
That's a way to get the ball down the floor. Maybe it's that basket down there. Remember Indiana in the first quarter?
Yeah, it might be.
Every shot was right around the basket.
55-55. All even. Come a long way back. There's the big guy. Dudley trying to hang on and can't. Fouled here by Rick Smits, I believe. No, they're going to call it on Dudley. He can't buy a call on a Nolan Fine.
Dudley did a nice job keeping Smits away from the basket. Dudley thought he had that ball, and then Smits came from behind, knocked it loose with his elbow, and then of all things, Dudley gets the foul.
55-55.
That's
Smits on the miss.
Last 2 times, Dudley's done a great job keeping Smits outside, shooting that ball out from about 12, 15 feet.
Cliff with a chance to break the tie. It's the first tie since it was 0-0. And a foul call against Indiana, and Larry Brown is hot.
Dudley got a break. Larry, how do you explain that? Larry Brown complaining like crazy.
Yeah, Larry's complaining because you can't say that about his guy, but his guy's been getting the breaks all game long. He really has. And the Blazers will bring it in. Both teams in a foul here in the second half. Rod with a stop and go. Looks for the acceleration. Good! Trip to the line. Maybe a 3-point lead. Here's the old hot pretzel.
Man, is he talented. He looked back to the center of the floor, got Mark Jackson leading a little bit, and then it was all baseline. He was the only one down there, and then the help a little bit too late by McKee.
Jackson can't stop him.
Look at see a little bit of a move defensively by Jackson to his left, and that's all Rod needed to get that ball down the baseline side to the hoop.
And much better release on his last 2 free throw attempts.
Well, since you told him about it.
Of course, you can't shot put it.
He heard you.
Dr. D. 58-55. Smits too deep. Yeah, that's easy pickings right there.
Yeah, that was just a regular old jump shot. He wasn't forced to fall away or throw that little hook shot up like he was the prior 2 times.
They could get that shot every time if they elected to go that way, really. As the Blazers, the way they're playing, are giving him the opportunity for the entry pass, but Cliff comes right back the other end.
That's where you need to take that ball. Take it down to the basket, down in the lane.
60-57. Blazers with a lead of 3. 9:09 to play in the third. Nolan Fine almost stumbled over a cameraman on the baseline. There's Smits again.
Dudley did a nice job. Almost got a piece of that big hook shot from Smits.
Big Smits. He's missed 2 field goal attempts here in this third quarter. He was 5 for 7 at the half. He is now, 8 for 11 or 7 for 11 here in the game. Blazers with a miss, and here comes Jackson off the rebound by Dale Davis. Smits, Miller, Dale Davis, Eddie Johnson trying to get some offense. No, there's Dale Davis with that offensive rebound we told you about. He's the best ever in the history of their franchise. Cliff said that he was pushing, and he's telling Jim Capers Jr. about it. Gets no response.
What was different on that play? Pushes on every play.
Every play, the tricks of the trade. Rob draws the double. Swing to Cliff. Back to Harvey. Plumb line J. In and out. Won't go. Tipped by Dudley. Harvey draws it out. There's Cliff. Gee, that's a good-looking 3, too. I mean, he had plenty of time to set it up and then step into it. And the foul called on Rod Strickland, which takes away an easy 2 by Indiana. That was a sure 2.
Mark Jackson going up to pull a little prestidigitation that time with his back to the basket and whip it down the floor, and Rod said we'll have none of that.
If there is such a thing as a good foul, folks, you just saw it. Because they were going for 2. Rod didn't have any foul, so that's his first. And they weren't in the shooting situation, so they had to inbound the ball. And now they have to work for their shot. See that?
How much work is it? The big guy, once he gets positioned down there and he turns around for that jump shot, he's just too big.
There's no reason why Indiana won't continue to pound it inside to him. He's getting open shots every time.
Good job. All the way to the basket. Nobody home.
And you see, Cliff is another fellow, Keith. If he did that more often, he would be averaging 27 a game instead of 21. Take the ball to the basket. Mix up your game so they don't play for the outside shot. 62-61 Blazers. Jam dunk. They're going to give it to him. Dale Davis foul.
Major breakdown defensively that time, and Harvey showing the frustration. Dale Davis. Let's look right under the basket. Davis is right there, and Smits with that great vantage point up above Dudley had no problem getting that ball down to him. And it just doesn't, from PJ's standpoint, he's got to be wondering, how can a guy get that open, and especially right under the basket?
They lead by 2. 64-62. We have 7:07 to play here in the third. PJ looked like he got that beard trimmed over the weekend. Hope he doesn't get another trim here this afternoon. Inside Cliff from Rod. Sweet.
Nice job.
Bring the coin changer. Rod's throwing nothing but dimes up there now. Man, that was room service city. 64-64. We're all tied here at Paul's Place.
Look at where Cliff got that ball, right down in the lane. When he gets that ball that low, that play is over.
Dimes, buddy. Well, here you go for you folks who like to collect the cards. Franz has a little trading card deal going for you. A Blazer card free in every loaf of Franz and Williams Premium White and 100% wheat bread. This week, Harvey Grant. He is in the bread, but then again, that makes sense because this guy's making a lot of dough.
One way or another.
Keith, you know, I've been around the game a long time. And you got to find ways to have some fun.
You better have fun while you're doing it.
There's a lot of up and down. They've got to be figuring out some ways to put something in between the ups and the downs. Stripped on the way through. Is that 46 Buick with the doors open? Reggie Miller. Blazers with a 1-point lead. Rod, Harvey, off the made free throw. His lead 1. They double and triple team Cliff. Along the base to Harvey. There's Rod. Slices to the rack. Changes the shot on the way up. And Rick Smits has the ball knocked away by Gary Trent, who just came in. And now they're really getting active defensively. Now there's a dime. What a pass by Mark Jackson. Blazers not with it defensively. They did not get back. And the Pacers take advantage on that half-court pass.
That's just a case of not being alert. When the official gave the ball to the Pacers, Portland was still about mid-court. They had a guy, Eddie Johnson, cutting to the basket, wide open.
Gary Trent really struggling today. Really struggling. And he turns the ball over as he travels, and his team is down 1.
Well, these kind of mistakes, 3 in a row now, just kill you. They just kill you. You get back in the ball game and then have 3 breakdowns like that.
He won't get a chance to make many more of those. Here's Eddie Johnson off a screen by Smits, and Trent had to fight to get through to get to Johnson. Johnson, the veteran, at Trent. Trent seals him off. Mark Jackson back to Miller. Step around, nice move, wide open, pulls up short. Jackson Miller will go that way. There are nights when he can't miss, and other nights when he can't hit a thing.
And it doesn't bother him. He's got a shooter's mentality.
That's right.
He could miss his first 30, and he'll come back the end of the game when it's on the line.
Hardest working man in show business.
Nice job. Dudley with the follow.
James Brown's buddy, his counterpart in basketball, Chris Dudley. The hardest working man in basketball, Jackson. Will they give it to him? No.
3 seconds.
3-second violation. You got to plug your meter when you're in there that long. Can't be standing down there looking for a dance. You got to get out of there. 67-66.
Larry Brown inching his way over to the official, made that call right in front of him there, and just from one side to the other, telling him,
work him, Larry.
Was not a good call.
Work him, Larry, as only he can do. 22 years as a head coach, 21 years with a winning record. How's that? Tell me he can't coach. Clifford honeycombs the rim and down.
See how active Cliff has been here in the third quarter? taking that ball to the basket.
That baby was like a ping pong ball in a wind tunnel, Keith. That baby just finally fell through. 69-66. That last hoop was for an all-around good guy, George Walsh. 4:29 to play here in the third. Jackson followed jam Dale Davis.
That's your man, the offensive rebounder.
Got to maintain contact with Dale Davis. 1 point Blazer lead. Well, they got some life now, and they know that they can hang with these guys, even though Arvydas Sabonis is home with his head up on a pillow and his feet up on the couch. Sick.
That's a move.
Yeah. Harvey used Dudley beautifully, didn't he, when he had him down there?
Absolutely. Taking that baseline quickly with the big defensive end blocking for him.
Well done, Harvey. 71-68 Trailblazers. Miller with a fake right, goes left. Harvey with a poke check screen. Foul. Harvey and the Blazers have 4. Harvey Grant has 2. And D'Antonio is going to get another look. And the Blazers with a lead of 3 with 3:46 to play in the third. There he is, Keith. I've given him the title as the unofficial mayor of the Rose Garden. At one point or another, he'll work his way around here and say hi to about 200 people. Never lights up that Lincoln log. But here's a fellow here that this is the highlight of his night, too, the Blazer Dancers.
Separated. Hey! The man you disrespect me. Take him out. You gotta keep them separated. Hey! They don't mind. We're under 18 and we'll be doing anytime behind. Hey! Come on and play!
Ladies and gentlemen, the Blazer Dancer.
In Boston, they call it the Garden. Out here, we just call it a room full of roses. And we had a bunch of them out there right there, the little Blazer Dancers. And the unofficial mayor over there loving every bit of it.
Sunday, March 7th has been moved to 5 p.m. Proceeds from the auction will benefit the U.S. Olympic team and help American athletes realize their dream.
We are back at the Rose Garden, Paul's Place. Good crowd Sunday afternoon, playoff time, and the crowd kind of sensing it. Every one of these games so big for the Trailblazers. And Mark Jackson will tell you exactly how his team has been playing recently.
We get it going and something happens, but we're back to having it going right now. We're playing good basketball, solid basketball, putting forth great effort. And like I know it sounds repetitious, but when we play like this, it's tough to beat us. It's awfully tough to beat us.
The words of Mark Jackson, and he's right. Except the Blazers right now have a 3-point lead. Cliff can't, neither can Dudley. And was there a shoving foul inside? Yes, there was, against Indiana. And this should go against Antonio Davis.
Boy, as you mentioned, Eddie, Chris Dudley always working to that basket. Good job keeping that ball alive.
Good job of working right there by Chris Dudley, by the way, on that trip in the floor. They've got Buck Williams in replacing Chris Dudley. Chris didn't want to come out of the game. They figured he was ready to contribute.
Yeah, keep going. Blazers shooting 60% here in this third quarter as they've been able to take that ball to the basket.
Have you ever met a player who did want to come out of the game?
You wouldn't want him on your team.
I like what they're doing right now, Keith. They're attacking the ball or the basket from the strong side, and they're delaying somebody from the back side. They're back cutting from the weak side, and they're getting action every time because the Pacers are turning their back on the ball.
There's a lot of activity going on out there on the floor. They're moving. Everything in the first quarter, anyway, was coming from the outside.
Cliff to the rack.
Look at that block.
And I like what Cliff is doing. And knocked away by Wingfield. Picked up by Cliff. Put a body fake on him. There it is. 75-68. Trailblazers with their biggest lead of the ball game. They came from 15 points down. They were down 35-20 at one time. And now lead 75-68.
Not only have they picked it up motion-wise, but defensively, they've done a much better job.
And there'll be a loose ball foul right here against the Trailblazers. I believe against Harvey Grant.
Remember in that first quarter, Indiana only missed 6 shots. It seemed like everything they had was from the inside. And since that time, the Blazers have picked it up. As we saw Cliff right there, all of them out on the floor picked it up, forcing Indiana away from the basket, and consequently 46% here in the third quarter after 70 in the first.
2:24 remain in the third. Iowa State beat Kansas today. What a shocker that is, as Reggie Miller makes it 75-70, makes both free throws. Indiana beating Michigan State 53-44 in the Midwest basketball tournament action. Mississippi State leading Kentucky by 15 with 14:50 left in the game. 57-42. How about that one? Missed by Cliff from Three-Land. Knocked away, touched by Indiana. Come to Portland.
Oh, we got everybody pointing in different directions. And the officials gave it to the Blazers.
There's Tumbleweed Brown. He doesn't like it.
Didn't like it a bit.
Good guy, though.
Take another look at it. Whose hand was that? Couldn't tell.
Rod gets in the air. Hey, he's got a pair. Rod Strickland, 77-70.
Rod's the man. He's the choreographer.
He's the baton major, the drum major out there. He's got 16 points. Reggie,
not a good shot. Not a good shot, Reggie.
He dry heaved it. He was off balance, and Reggie's killing him right now. He's 3 for 14. 5 assists, Reggie Miller with 10. Rod Strickland 16 and 6 assists here in the third quarter. He's got 8 for the game. There's Rod again on Jackson. Over the back, Buck Williams knocked away. Here's Cliff. Blazers are very active.
Look at that movement.
And Cliff fouled by Dwayne Shinsis coming in.
See Cliff that time and Rod Strickland. They knew exactly what was going on. Cliff gave that ball up to Rod, cut to the basket. Rod immediately got it back to him right down the lane. There's the play. Look at Cliff. Quickly taking that ball to the basket and right into the chest of Dwayne Shinsius. Here's Rod. Right there. Got that ball quickly back to Cliff.
Well, the lights went on for Cliff somewhere here after the first quarter because he is now very actively going to the basket.
Absolutely.
Which means they can't play him for the outside game solely, which is what people have been doing.
All the difference in the world. 9 for 9 from the free throw line.
And a 79-70 Blazer lead. 1:12 to play in the third. Eddie Johnson, 14 years, Wingfield. The second-year guy giving him everything he wants. D'Antonio Wingfield. And foul coming in on the side is Reggie Miller.
Oh, Reggie's really hot with the officials. He turned around and threw that ball over to the official standing on the sideline. Watch Reggie right down here. Buck, body contact, picked up the foul. And Reggie's hot.
Both teams over the foul limit. Reggie, who has his own television show, his wife is quite a model actress. They've maximized any kind of exposure that you could possibly get out of Indianapolis into a pretty good deal. Shintz is out. Dale Davis has come back. Plumb lines a pair, and it's 79-72 now. Blazers by 7 after trailing by 15. Waited till 55 to tie it. Rod on Travis Best. He's got a good size matchup there. Antonio Wingfield splashes one.
He's the darndest looking three-point shooter, isn't he?
Well, you could hitch a wagon to that back. He's a big guy.
He's a huge guy.
82-72. The Trailblazers big lead 10. Here's Reggie, works on Harvey. Harvey's done a nice job. They give no ground at all. Dale Davis gets the rebound. He's got Miller spotted up high, wide left. Will they find him? Now they'll work for the final shot of the quarter. Travis Best telling Reggie, I can't give it to you. I'm working for one. So they want to spread the floor now. See if they can find a good open shooter. Travis is not the guy, although he's pretty good at driving. Oh, they come away with a pair. No, they don't. Waited too long to make it happen, and the defense takes hold. Boy, what a comeback the Blazers have made, and if they can hang on to win this one, who knows what could happen. 82-72 after 3. Welcome back to the Garden, and things are hot in here now. The crowd is into the ball game. The Blazers have come back from 15 down and lead by 10. As we go to the fourth, they will start with Cliff Robinson, Buck Williams, Romeo Robinson, Aaron McKee, and D'Antonio Wingfield. How about this for a small unit? Against Travis Best, Mark Jackson, Dale Davis, Eddie Johnson, and Antonio Davis. So both coaches mixing and matching as we start the fourth.
Larry Brown having a difficult time after a 37-point first quarter. They're coming back. Nice move by Buck. Too bad missing it inside. But how about Indiana at 18 and 17 in the second and third quarters?
Johnson, don't let him get hot. He's a great three-point shooter, and Dale Davis is called for the loose ball foul. Some good games today, Keith. Sacramento at Golden State, which has a lot of bearing on the Trailblazers positioning for the playoffs, and New Jersey at Denver. Those games later on today. Meanwhile, Phoenix losing at Orlando 122 to 106. And Danny Manning had a big game for the Suns, 32 points. Aaron McKee.
Yes, got to get some help.
84-72 Trailblazers. Danny Manning has been playing well lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been playing great. Great to see him come back after a year off with that torn ACL. His second one.
Miami beat Cleveland 88-81. Jim Hardaway with 21.
Hey, look at that.
Cliff is all over the place, and they call the foul. No, they said that Dale Davis got a foul on this thing.
Cliff stretching to his maximum height, blocked that shot. Beautiful job defensively.
Davis with 4 fouls now. Cliff is really doing a nice job. Wingfield. Cliff, incidentally, with 28 points, 5 rebounds, and he has not missed a free throw today.
Aaron McKee in the backcourt. Trying to strip Mark Jackson.
We're in the fourth, 10:34 to play. Aaron McKee just picked up his 3rd personal foul. Blazers have 1 team foul. Pacers have 1 team foul. Mark Jackson trying to keep him out of the middle. Illegal defense called on Portland. That'll be their 2nd. The Pacers will shoot 1 and then get retention of the ball as Rick Smits and Derek McKee will be coming back for Indiana. Boston beats Milwaukee 110-103 in Milwaukee. How about Mike Dunleavy? What do you think his future looks like there?
He's having a tough time, isn't he? He's got a big 8-year contract.
Yeah, he's got a long time left, and if I know the senator, he'll milk that for a few more years. Senator Herb Kohl, who owns that team, is not going to want to pay him off. Eddie Johnson out. Derek McKee comes back. So you got McKee and Antonio Davis. Rick Smits is in the middle with Action Jackson and Travis Best. Best at the point, the little left-hander from Georgia Tech, their #1 pick this last June. There's your pick and roll. Jackson can't find him. The Blazers do a good job of choking off the inside. Smits got to keep him away from the basket. And they're working on it. They're trying to deny him that deep post position. And that time Dudley just picked up his 4th foul.
The problem is that you've got to play defense with your feet. You slide your feet, you don't push with your hands. And Dudley got caught that time with a little push.
How many times do you see that, though, Keith? When you get to this level, you should know that. Too many of these fellas try and play defense with their hands instead of using their feet. This is a 20-second timeout called by Larry Brown. ABA All-Star. Played at North Carolina and bumped around. You know, if you look at his track record, his dossier, if you will, Larry Brown has done some remarkable things in a lot of different places. This is a guy who won the national championship at the University of Kansas. He took UCLA to the Final Four and has had some great teams here in the NBA. This is a great coach.
And he's a teacher. teacher supreme out here before the ball game. He was working individually with Dale Davis, showing him how to put his hand, how to move his hand when he's shooting little jump shots and hook shots. I mean, just diligently going over the finer points with him at this point in the season.
That's why he's often said he'd probably get his greatest satisfaction coaching high school basketball, where he could teach and they would listen. Travis Best showing what a little guy can do when you take it down there into the land of the Giants. You take it in deep, you lean, you draw, you get the foul, you go to the line, and Cliff has been terrific today. Rod is on the bench. Best has 2. Lead is 10. Cliff has really struggled since the All-Star break. By far his best performance. Buck Williams, Dudley, and Wingfield on the front line. Ramil and Aaron McKee at the guard line for the Trailblazers.
This is a very key part of the game for Portland now, with both Cliff and Rod on the bench. Where are they going to get their scoring?
Buck trying to get it done. Dudley will get his 5th foul. Dudley just got his 5th foul, and it was not a smart one at all. So there's where you run into problems, and you watch.
What? Now see that shot right there? That is not a good shot. And Buck is not the guy that you want to have be posting up down low and try and come up with an offensive play. You've got to have some scorers out there, and that's the guy that just came in, Cliff for Chris.
Well, see, there's where the breakdown starts, though. The Blazers, they get themselves, they do good things, and then they commit some unintelligent fouls or do some things that just don't make sense. And we've seen it in the last 2 possessions. Knocked away, Aaron McKee's got it. Saved to Ramil. Man ahead, stumbles, falls, tripped, foul. And into our cameraman. There's a good close-up look. Want to know how many cavities he's got? We almost showed you.
Here comes Ramil, and nobody helping him out, telling him that Best was coming from behind to knock that ball away. That's part of the communication out there on the floor.
84-75, Trailblazer lead 9. This is who they need, Cliff Robinson right here, and they can't get it to go that time. But shooting over a 7-foot object is very difficult. With 9 minutes to play, the lead is 9. And Wingfield will get this foul, and the Blazers are over the foul limit. Now this is bad, Keith, because you have 8:58 remaining in the game, and from now on, Indiana's in the penalty.
Well, when you've got young players, those are the problems that are inherent with trying to teach them about what's going on out there, being aware of all the situations in the ball game. Fouls, very important part. You get in a situation like this with over 8 minutes to go and out of fouls.
Here are the Pacers. They're sitting in pretty good positioning right now. Charlotte down there trying to figure out a way to get a little bit closer and move up in the pack. But right now, the Indiana Pacers are looking at Cleveland in the first round. Rod Strickland back there.
But Indiana's having a terrific year, and they're still, 15 and a half games behind Chicago?
That's correct.
Oh, remarkable. 39-22, 17 games above 500, and, well, Chicago is just out of this world this year.
Couple of free throws, and the Pacers are even closer now, 84-77.
Indiana foul number 33, Antonio Davis.
Cliff is really active here in the second half. He is just all over the floor, outside, inside, posting up, down low, creating opportunities. Davis had to foul in that time.
84-77, Blazers with a lead. It was 12. It's come back considerably. But you can't stop doing what got you there. Aaron McKee on the drop. That's a nice shot. Threw the big guy out, failing out on the shot, tough to stop.
He was under control the whole time.
That's key. What you just said is very important. Under control all the way. 86-77, Blazers by 9. Big guy missing.
How about Cliff contesting that shot?
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Cliff out ahead, Rod didn't see him. There he is now. And Rod will set it up on the half court. There's your triangle. Now they break it down.
How about one-on-one? Cliff got the big guy out there on him.
Nice pass that time by Aaron McKee, knocked away by Reggie Miller. Spin free is Travis Best. McKee, look out. Well, you give him an open shot, you're going to get hurt. That was a three by Aaron McKee. Only a 25% three-point shooter. 86-80. McKee, D'Antonio. Tried to make the wraparound pass and it got away, and so it's a turnover. Larry Brown telling his guys, come on now, we got to run something, and we're going to take a timeout to talk about it. Timeout. 86-80, Trailblazers.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're pleased to welcome championship teams of the Fred Meyer Blazers Youth Basketball Tournament in attendance today. Boys and girls divisions with preliminary tournaments over 2 weekends each end.
Back at the Rose Garden. Blazers showing good composure in the third quarter and in the fourth, and now heading down the backstretch, hoping to hang on and get themselves a good win before they head to Los Angeles for the next game, and that's against the tough Lakers on Tuesday night.
Portland came out very slowly in this ball game and gave up 37 points in that first quarter. Indiana shot 70%, but Portland has turned it around in the second and the third, held them to 18 and 17 respectively, and boy, just a completely different team.
When you take a look at the way that Cliff Robinson is playing today as compared to the last game that you saw and games that we've seen on a regular basis, what a difference it makes when he attacks the basket.
Absolutely.
That adds another 50%, 100% dimension to his game.
When he's active out there, he takes that ball to the basket. And remember, the one play that was kind of indicative of this whole ball game this afternoon and why Portland is now playing well was when Rod had that ball, Cliff cut down the lane and quickly gave it to him, and Cliff taking the ball to the basket with authority. I mean, when you've got movement like that and your two best players involved, good things are going to happen.
Well, you stand around on the weak side and don't move, and you got problems. (86-80), Blazers by 6. Our next Blazer Vision game a week from today. It's a 5 o'clock start. Your schedule says 1. Forget that. Cross it out. 5 o'clock. Keith and I will be here. Call your cable company. These are all big games because that's Dallas, and they're nipping at the heels of the Denver Nuggets, who are just behind the Blazers. Reggie Miller has just come back into the game for Indiana.
Reggie Miller 0 for 5 in the second half.
Oh,
one of those cheap calls. Send him to the free throw line, and that's where it hurts you being out of fouls this early in the quarter.
Well, he got rubbed off the pick, and he tried to stay with Reggie, and Nolan Fine saw him lay a pinky on Reggie and called the foul. Nolan must have had a bad dinner last night. He's not able to stay with it today, so he's stopping the action every 30 seconds. Reggie Miller pulls him ever closer. And all of a sudden, that 12-point lead is down to 5. 7:04 to play in the game. And it's a 4-point ball game. The Blazers have been outscored 10-4 since they led it 82-72. Rod can't find a way to make a hoop, and here they come. It's Reggie on Aaron. Look out for the block shot. Blazers have got it. That could be a key right there. If they can convert, it's a little slow, and he's fouled inside.
How about that block shot? Eddie, as you talked about, one kind of a play like that can save a ball game for you. They're coming down the floor. Reggie Miller, their best scorer, taking it one-on-one to the hoop. That's just a terrific play.
Now, I've said so many times, Steve and I get into these debates about this, about how if you don't have it all the time offensively, you can do so much for yourself if you get out and get after it defensively by creating turnovers and then, as a result, producing a transition game. Steve doesn't buy the defensive theory, so I guess a different schools of thought. No.
Well, this is a 4-point turnaround here.
And
because they had a layup that they didn't get because of the defensive effort, and you turn around with a possession and get 2 going the other way.
Well, and I guess I made my point. 88-82. Defense can do so much to turn it around as it did for the Blazers here today. Smits, tough. Big guy's got a little hook. He got the jumper. He's got the inside step under, drop steps. He's got all the moves, and he's still young, 29. D'Antonio, look at this. Man, he made nice moves to get there, and the lead is 5. Jackson slaloming in and out of traffic, can't get a handle and does. McKee. There's Smits. And see, there's harassing defense. That's what it'll do for you, and they call a foul on Rod.
That is a real tough pill to swallow.
Joe Forty made the call.
Rick Smits did not see Rod coming from behind. Here's Smits. Now look at Rod coming from behind. Knocked that ball away. Smits not about to complain on that play. He's trying to find the ball.
Good free throw shooter, the big guy. You get, I thought you got 10 seconds at the line.
You remember Guy Rogers?
Oh, yeah.
Shooting a free throw?
Oh, yeah.
He'd bounce that ball 10 times. There's Rod knocking the ball loose as he came from behind. Smits didn't know he was there.
Strickland with 2 fouls. Blazers have been over the foul limit since 8:54.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, it really hurts because every time you touch somebody, you're going to the foul line and shooting a pair if you're the other team. They have 4 fouls, however. We're at 5:44 left with a 2-point lead. Was 12. Wingfield travel, got away with it. Aaron McKee. He's got 3. Aaron McKee.
You know what a good pass that was from Wingfield? He was considering shooting that ball under heavy pressure. Gave it up to McKee, who had a wide open shot.
Well, that's how you learn. A little patience. 5:17 to go. The Dutchman, Cliff with a block. What a block by Cliff, his second big block of the game.
Good passing.
Beautiful passing.
How about a team out there on the floor, Eddie? That's how you win these games. That's how you win. You play like a team.
A little teamwork. It goes a long, long way, doesn't it? Time out.
And it all started with the block. Smits, without a fake, Cliff was up waiting for him. Blocked that shot beautifully. Buck knocked it loose, and Rod was on his way. Cliff with the block on the 7'4" Dutchman. And Rod bringing it down the floor. Now watch the passes. 1, 2, 3, and it's a layup. That was fantastic. Getting everybody involved in the play. Here's Rod. Little flip behind the back. Wingfield right over to Cliff, and nobody home.
Hey, the crowd's loving this one. You would be too if you were here.
Ladies and gentlemen, our official attendance this afternoon,
49,000. The boys are back in town. Cliff Robinson and Rod Strickland. Where they were coming in, where they are this afternoon. Not bad. Cliff having quite a day. 32 points so far. Perfect at the foul line. 4:52 remaining. The Pacers have no fouls to take. The Blazers have been out of fouls since way back at 8:54 remaining in the quarter. McKee, Jackson, Miller, Smits, Davis, their starting 5. Jackson for a 3. At the buzzer, Mark Jackson. And it's a 4-point Blazer lead with 4:29 to play.
Huge shot, huh?
Big shot.
Was that big? Right at the buzzer.
D'Antonio Wingfield in the game when it counts for the first time this year, and a foul called on Jackson.
Did you see that foul?
It was hardly. It was a breathing foul, wasn't it?
Let's take another look at this. Let's see what he does. There's a little contact. There's contact on every play.
Oh, every play. Every play.
And so where was that foul?
It was a breathing foul. when you take a breath when you're not supposed to, sometimes they call it.
Waiting to exhale.
94-89, Larry Brown. He goes through a new pair of Googs about every other week. The man with the stylish eyewear. Must come out here to Binion's about once a month. Do his shopping. One of our sponsors. 95-89, the Trailblazers. Jackson, Miller, McKee, Wingfield. Big test for the youngster. Wingfield holding his ground. Jackson on the step around. Inside to Davis. Blocked by Buck Williams. Rod prances up half speed. Tells Wingfield to clear out. Cliff for a dump pass inside to Buck, and he lost the ball. Buck wasn't expecting it. Cliff was trying to be unselfish. McKee on the spot up. There he is. Dale Davis.
Another offensive rebound for Davis.
9 boards. No.
Yeah, look at that call.
A kicking call against Reggie Miller. He leg whipped Aaron McKee, and you never see that call. And Joe Forty caught it. The old leg whip trip.
Yeah, there is no question about it. Did you see that? At the end of that shot. And you got to wonder, how does he have the concentration to continue with watching the rim as he made that shot and then throw the leg out at the last second?
That's an offensive foul. That's why they're not going to the foul line to shoot. Rod, put it in, baby. 97-89. 3 minutes to play in the game.
That was a 5-point turnaround.
Yes,
Reggie
sir.
with the 3, no good.
And now we got a foul call against Aaron McKee. And Reggie just got hit with a technical foul. Now that is ridiculous. That's how you hurt your team in a close ball game. Blazers will go to the foul line and shoot. Who are they going to send down? This is the question. They got to send Aaron McKee down. He's the Blazers' best free throw shooter, and he's a 77%er.
See, Reggie was just talking to the official, continuing to talk to the official.
Oh, that would drive Larry Brown crazy. That's the kind of stuff that drives you nuts, and McKee misses the opportunity.
But that's Reggie, Eddie. That's Reggie Miller, and that's how he gets himself worked up and into a ball game. He's been lousy this whole game, not shooting the ball well.
Now here's a question. Why do you bring Travis Best in here and bring Mark Jackson out?
Well, that's a real good question. Travis Best is a pretty good little penetrator.
Well, you don't have Rick Smits in there either. Smits with only 2 fouls.
Best handles that ball awfully well.
Oh, there's a basket interference that they didn't call.
It was right on the rim, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. 97-90.
And I think that Larry Brown feels that Best can guard Strickland better than Mark Jackson was doing.
Well, what about Smits? Well, they could pound it into him all night long or all afternoon long, and he'd have his shot. Well, I don't understand this. Cliff for a 3 would be a biggie. Not this time. Here they come. We're down to 2.5 to play. 7-point Trailblazer lead. After trailing by 15. Miller on the base, works McKee. Uses the offhand, they didn't call it. He used the offhand to shove McKee. Here's Best. And a terrific little room service pass by Best inside to Dale Davis. 5-point game. 15 for Davis. Look at Best. He's a pesky little guy. He's all over Rod like a summertime fly.
2 minutes remaining.
That's short. Dale Davis going to work on the boards. Here they come. Quickness. Boy, he's not at all afraid to go down there amongst the big guys.
Fearless. Fearless. So he's done a nice job on the offensive end, a nice assist the last time, and defensively he's done a good job on Rod, but look at him penetrate to the basket.
Now I can see why they brought him in the game instead of Jackson. And they're going to get their best defensive guard, Haywood Workman, coming in right behind Harvey Grant, who you're looking at there.
And Larry Brown also at the giving Reggie an opportunity just to cool off a little bit here.
Aaron McKee with 5 fouls comes out of there. They don't want anybody being tentative defensively on the Blazer end. 97-93. From a 12. to a 2, to a 7, to a 3-point lead.
You can see why Larry Brown's got confidence in that little guy. Pressure free throws.
Here's Rod trying to work the clock. This is a game the Blazers need desperately. They really do. This should be such a big confidence builder for them. Rod on the go. Rod on the way to the rack. Up and in. Rod Strickland. Who's going to stop him when he takes it down Broadway? Not even the mayor of New York City can stop that parade. 99-94. Blazer lead 5. And we have 1:34 to play in the ball game.
Michael Jordan they could use in a situation like this, huh? From a defensive standpoint, who around the league can guard Rod Strickland? Who can stop him from penetrating like that?
I don't think anyone can. I think he's the best in the league at getting to the basket. Boy, and what a difference it makes when you don't have him. As, of course, has been the case today with the Blazers and no Arvydas Sabonis.
Watch how the center of this floor is open for Rod. Now, there isn't a whole lot of room, but he's able to take it right to the basket. And you just wonder how in the world can he do it?
Here he goes.
Now look at the center open up, and that raises a pretty good question. You see him taking that ball inside. Look at this area right here. What do you think a 7-foot guy would do? Would that help?
I like a 7'4" guy.
7'4" player that's sitting over there on the bench.
Who's on the bench, right.
And now it closed off right at the end, but that was too late. Rod Strickland doing a great job, as he does best, taking it right down that lane.
Well, speaking of best, Indiana will have the balls in the hands of Travis Best, their little point guard, who has taken the ball to the basket 2 successive times down. Blazers will have to be aware of that. Mark Jackson is on the bench, their starting point guard. And, of course, with that, they've got, as I said, Rick Smits on the bench, but he'll be coming in now, I do believe. They've got to find a way to pound it into the big guy. Reggie Miller will also be coming back into the game for Indiana. So they have waited now until the final 1:34 to bring back some of their big arsenal. Derek McKee, Rick Smits, Reggie Miller, Anthony Davis, who absolutely looks exhausted. I don't know if he's out of shape. He's had a shoulder that's popped in and out on him. So is Dale Davis. By the way, those Davises are not related on the Indiana side. 5-point lead. Rod's hoop, a big one. Blazers with Cliff and Rod, Dudley, Harvey Grant, and D'Antonio Wingfield. That's a rare occurrence to see D'Antonio Wingfield in the game at crunch time. There's Reggie off the screen. Reggie with a shot. He misses again. Another big rebound by Derek McKee, and there'll be a foul called against D'Antonio Wingfield.
And that's one of the reasons why it's questionable that he should be in there at this point. A youngster, after the rebound came down, McKee had control of it. You're not going to be able to knock the ball away from him. You shouldn't be swiping at it at that point.
I believe Reggie Miller is 3 for 17 today. 3 for 17. McKee, however, has been very good at the foul line.
That was a very costly foul. That was tough.
And so they bring Smits out now for defensive purposes at the other end. And they have Antonio Davis, Dale Davis replacing Smits, McKee, an outstanding defender, Reggie Miller and Best out there. And they have Mark Jackson on their bench, which tells you who Larry Brown has got confidence in. 13 points for McKee and a 3-point Blazer lead. No mistakes. Blazers move the ball. Rod short. Out of bounds. It'll come to whom?
Oh, look at that. They're giving it to Portland. The players were walking the other way.
Harvey's walking the other way. No. They're giving it to Portland.
Yes, they are. See, the official is indicating Portland, and all the players were going the other way. Larry Brown can't believe that call.
I think Nolan Fine got turned around. Somebody must have hit him on the side of the coconut because he got a little confused.
Well, I'll give him credit for making that, admitting that he had made a mistake.
And quickly, Smits comes back into the game for them as they play offense-defense. Mark Jackson comes in and Travis Best goes out.
Now, As many shots as Reggie Miller has missed tonight, you don't want to let him get a shot at this point in the game.
Watch the picks. There's Schmitz looking for the man inside. McKee on the mismatch against Rod. Schmitz too deep. Too deep. Too deep. Rod's got it. And he'll be fouled down here with 51.6 seconds remaining and a very skimpy three-point lead. They got the ball to the man they wanted to have it, Rich Schmitz. They got a couple follow-ups, but not good enough.
The big guys inside banging for all they're worth, and the smallest guy on the floor comes up with the rebound. Rod Strickland, how invaluable he is to this team with all the little things he does out there. That ball kept alive, bounding around, the big guys hammering. And there's Rod.
Big free throw right there. And the first game in Indianapolis, the Blazers were out-rebounded by 12. This afternoon, the Pacers have out-rebounded them by 2. And a lot of that is due to the fact that Arvydas Sabonis has not been available here today. Buck is in, Dudley comes out. So Buck in for defensive reasons with 51.6 seconds and a 4-point Blazers lead. Rod misses, the lead is still 4. There'll be a timeout called by Indiana. The Pacers now, are they calling a timeout?
They did.
All right, timeout call. The Pacers are down to 1 timeout remaining. The Blazers with 2 and a 20. Well, that's where we are. Foul problems, in case you're wondering. Dudley with 5. Aaron McKee fouled out of the game. That's why he left. Anthony Davis has 5, and as you see, the Blazers at Los Angeles on Tuesday. That's on our Blazers television network. Friday back home against the Clippers. And then right here on Blazer Vision a week from today, Keith and I will have that one for you at 5 p.m. That's a 5 o'clock start. That is not a 1 o'clock start, as the program would indicate. And in case you were wondering why Dallas, well, the Dallas Mavericks are still in the playoff run. They are behind Sacramento and Denver, which are a half game behind the Blazers going into today's action. They trail by 5, so there's still plenty of time for them to do something. And the Clippers also trail by 5. So Dallas and the Clippers, 5 games right now behind, actually 4.5 games behind the Trailblazers. Is that right? No, 5.5 games behind the Trailblazers. That's right. And 5 games behind Denver, who's a half game behind the Portland Trailblazers. James Robinson for his second successive game, not seeing any floor time. So you kind of wonder where he fits long term here in Portland. Reggie Miller, a 15-point afternoon, but 3 for 17 unofficially from the floor. Right now, the Blazers trying to hang on desperately to a 4-point lead. 23 of 28 on that last missed free throw by Rod Strickland. That is 82%. All right, so here we go with 51.3 seconds remaining.
Again, Best still out there.
Too
Eddie.
deep, too deep.
Yep. Too tough.
Can't stop him. 198. The lead is 2. How big is this trip down the floor?
Good shot.
Oh, Harvey Grant gets the foul because Miller had a breakaway. What was that?
Well, Rod saw out of the corner of his eye the double team was on him as he got to the basket. Dudley was open underneath, and he threw a bullet over in his direction. Tough pass, and on top of that, it was deflected. And Harvey said, no layups for Reggie.
There's no way you can make a pass like that when you're that close with your back to the basket. You can't see where you're trying to make the pass. You pull it off, it's lucky if anything. 1-point game now. 199. Blazers were down 15, led by as many as 12, led by as many as 7 recently, and now we're tied. And now PJ will take one of his remaining 2 full timeouts. As the Pacers have fought back to tie the game, and here we are. Right down to the nub with 30.8 seconds. If the Blazers were to use the clock in its entirety, Indiana would have a little over 7 seconds, 7.2 seconds, or 6.2 seconds to get, or 6.8 seconds, pardon me, to get off the last shot. Reggie Miller with 9 points in the second half. But more importantly, they've controlled him from the floor, 3 of 17.
How about all of his points in the second half from the free throw line? Not a field goal.
All free throws.
And interesting to see Travis Best still in the ball game coming down the stretch here. That says a lot about Larry Brown's confidence in him.
Sure does.
And now this is the opportunity for the Blazers to come down, and their main men, Rod Strickland, to create an opportunity for himself or for one of his teammates. And I would guess that Cliff is going to be spotting up. Not a bad time for a two-man game between the two best players, huh?
Keep in mind, folks, this is something you don't like to belabor, but it's a fact. The Blazers have lost 19 games by 5 points or less. They've lost 10 games by 3 points or less. Their inability to execute down the stretch has hurt them dearly this year. Indiana, 1 timeout, no 20. Portland, 2 timeouts and a 20 remaining. I don't know that that's right. I think it might be 1 full timeout and a 20 remaining for the Trailblazers. So in effect, 2 timeouts, but only 1 full and 120, I believe, is what we have for the Trailblazers. That's important. And now somebody sails a paper airplane on the floor.
Interesting.
They ought to sail that person right out of the building.
Eddie, interesting also to see that D'Antonio Wingfield in the ball game.
And he will inbound the ball. Isn't that a lot of responsibility to put in the hands of a guy who's never been in the game at the end?
It's you want your best passer handling the ball in this situation and able to handle pressure.
And that's exactly what happened. Got the wrong guy inbounding the ball. 100 to 100 is the score.
So PJ is going to draw it up again. Let's take another look, fellas. And we'll give it another shot. This is also a time where you miss your big guy when you've got pressure all over the floor trying to get the ball inbounds. It's a major play. You can't, you've got to have somebody you have complete trust in inbounding the ball. You've got to get a completed pass in a situation like this. How many times have you seen through the years where a pass goes awry and the ball game is over in a situation like this? Another reason why Sabonis should be around, being able to get it in. Now he had no problem that time.
Well, now wait a minute. Jim Capers is going to stop and start again.
Got another plane out on the floor.
Another plane, and Larry Brown looking up into the stands, and I agree, Larry. That's ridiculous. 1 timeout remaining each team. That's it. Now let's see, with 23 seconds before you have to pull the pin, let's see if the Blazers can execute down the stretch, which they have been unable to do all year long.
Here's the two-man game. Rod and Cliff.
Oh, that's a tough shot. Tough shot.
Off balance. Off balance going away with still time on the shot clock.
12 seconds on the shot clock, and they took that one. My God.
All right, defense now. Time for defense.
And no fouls. They're out of fouls.
Oh, good job. Yeah, how about the guy? How about Wingfield? We're talking about him and questioning his being in there, and he saved a bucket.
They get 1.6 seconds coming in. 1.6 seconds, and they've got the big guy coming off the bench. Look out, to have an inbound play where they feed him directly off the baseline. Good hustle by Wingfield. McKee, Smith, away from the ball. Was there a double foul?
No. He's just cleaning it up as they were trying to get position down low. Smith's trying to get his spot, and Dudley keeping him out of there.
Remember, the clock doesn't start until it touches the hands of someone on the floor. Jackson is in. They screen their Smiths. It's not going to get there. We're going overtime. You want more for your money? You're getting it today. We have an overtime. It's 100 to 100 at the Garden. We're back, overtime, 5 minutes. Dudley and Davis, and they win the tap. Mark Jackson, Reggie Miller, Dale Davis, Derek McKee, Rick Smits, Reggie Miller. They rub him off a pick. Remember, Aaron McKee is fouled out of the game, not available. There's Smits. There's the step under.
Boy, what a tough shot. Double teamed and still got it down.
They lead by a pair.
Quick shot from the outside.
Boy, Cliff, quick shooting, not necessary. Not necessary.
None more unnecessary than the last shot of the fourth quarter.
With 12 seconds on the shot clock, he released it. Wingfield gets knocked down off a pick. Gets up, still stays with McKee. There again, they're pounding it into Smits. And they're going to foul Dudley out of the game. That's it for him. And you knew that was the first order of business for Larry Brown. Get Dudley out of there.
Get that ball back inside to Smits. Last two plays they've done that. First two here in the overtime. Take it right into Smits and force Dudley to foul.
Blazers have not had a lot of luck in overtime games this year. They've won 2, they've lost 3. Indiana is 1-0 in overtime so far this season. And the Dutchman hits the big free throw, and now they lead by 3. (103-100). Not quite a minute into this. Jackson and Harvey Grant are going at it. Off the ball, and Smits makes 2. Anthony Davis with 5 in foul trouble for them. Dudley is gone. McKee is gone. Cliff.
Oh, he had it.
Yeah,
and hesitated. Yeah.
Offensive foul called on D'Antonio Wingfield.
That's his 5th.
That's number 5. You're right. 104-100. Buck Williams comes over and says, "Come on, guys, let's pull it together. Don't quit now." This is where they got to tighten up and go get it. That's going to go back to Portland. Miller trying to get the ball to Dale Davis. He of the Phantom of the Basketball fame. Larry Brown. He's been all around, this guy Brown. Coached in New Jersey, San Antonio.
Harvey's open right under the basket.
Mark Jackson is draped all over Rod Strickland. And a foul called here on Reggie Miller. That's 4 on Miller.
And the foul, number 31, Reggie Miller, his 4th personal, first team foul over Blazers.
Big Cliff putting that ball on the floor, and Reggie with just a little bit of a touch, keeping that hand right on his elbow. Watch the touch. We see these big guys pounding each other inside. A little bit of a touch picks up the foul.
As I mentioned to you before, you get 3 timeouts in the overtime, and you also go into penalty on the 4th team foul.
Harvey got a pretty good look.
22nd timeouts would carry over, but neither team has one. Jackson.
Yeah, Mark Jackson and Dale Davis. Just with a nod of the head. Davis saw him, and with the head turn, that's a tough play.
Here's where the good ones get tough, however, and the Blazers have got to see if they can do some of that. That's their 2nd team foul, and Mark Jackson has picked up his 3rd.
Rod with that innate ability to get by the defender. Mark Jackson just grabbed a hold of him to make sure he wasn't going to get down there to the basket.
The Blazers are going to have to work because now it's down to 3 minutes, and they're down 6. They led 97-90 late.
That's deep. Huh? Did he call that?
With his eyes closed.
Did he call it?
106-103, D'Antonio Wingfield. He's got 17 career-high points today. 17. There's Miller off the screen. Look for the pick and roll. Ball kept loose. Saved by Buck. Great effort by Buck and the Blazers. Here they come.
Plenty of time. Got to get good shots.
1-point ball game, Indiana. And they'll take one of their timeouts. Rod with 25. Mississippi State has beaten Kentucky today. 84-73. The first blemish Boy, this Kentucky team, they've been beating teams by an average of 30 points a game, and they got themselves a little bit of a taste of it today.
Rod going one-on-one, getting Mark Jackson to back up, and then he couldn't even respond. Couldn't get up to try and get a hand up when Rod got that shot off. And how about Winfield a moment ago? That was about 4 feet behind that line and off the glass. And not even a smile.
Wake Forest beat Georgia Tech 75-74. San Jose State 76, Utah State 75 in the WAC conference final. No, that's not the WAC, that's the Big West final. That's what that one is, Big West. That was in overtime. Indiana over Michigan State 57-53, and Iowa State 56, Kansas 55. Final. Scores for you in college ball today. And of course, everybody waiting tonight, Golden State entertaining Sacramento, and New Jersey at Denver. Those are big games that could affect the Blazers' positioning. Paul Allen, Bob Whitsitt to the left of your screen. Portland and Indiana both have a couple fouls to give. Now Indiana with 2 timeouts remaining, and the Blazers with 3 in this overtime period. 1 point Indiana lead. Can Portland come back and pull it out? Be some win if they could do it. And they're staying with D'Antonio Winfield. Harvey Grant, Buck Williams, Cliff Robinson, and Rod Strickland, a small Portland lineup. Chris Dudley's fouled out, and Arvydas Sabonis was never here. Viral infection, and he's home.
How about Wingfield averaging 2.3 points a game? Coming up with a huge 17.
He's got a big man to defend right here, Derek McKee. Buck has Dale Davis. Harvey's got Miller. Smits is defended by Cliff. Won't go but a foul, and they'll put Rick Smits at the foul line.
Got Rod on the foul. Strickland.
Well, Rod, I didn't even see him over there.
Yeah, Smits didn't see him either.
Well, isn't it interesting how Larry Brown keeps reminding these people to keep going back to the big guy? He's got shots all day.
On the replay, you could see Rod smack Smits on the elbow as he went up for that shot. And as he came up short for the free throw.
Rick Smits, who looked like he was heading for a career high, which incidentally is 44, had 12 in the first quarter. They shut him down, held him to 2 in the second, 4 in the third, and now he has 28 for the game. 1 point, Pacer lead. Mark it 2-2-0-2. Lots of 2s, and maybe the deuces wild will help the Blazers in the final run. Need some smart basket opportunities. Oh! Cliff, good save by Cliff. Wingfield.
Whoa!
I don't know what D'Antonio was thinking about there. He had a shot clock that rotated back to 24, and he had 22 seconds left when he took the shot. Absolutely no reason at all to take that shot, and that's the price you pay when you have a youngster in the game who has not been in there in this kind of situation.
Well, he hit the last one. I guess he felt it, huh?
Bad shot selection by the Blazers here since the end of regulation.
It has been.
Oh, he stepped around and out.
How did that ball come out?
My gosh, put a hat out there. He's done everything but do the dance.
Watch the long, see how far out of the lane he is? And watch him take that spin move down and reach all the way back to the basket. He was right there, and that ball didn't go in.
Nothing's changed since the last time we spoke. Travis Best will come in for Larry Brown.
Textbook shooter. 7
this
feet.
guy fundamentally is
7 feet 4 inches tall. Nothing not to like about the guy except a little mustache, huh?
I wonder if he used to leave his wooden shoes outside the door when he was a kid. Remember that story about the Dutchman? Leave those wooden shoes outside the Cloud Hoppers. He's got 30. They lead by 3. 1:16, plenty of time. We're trying to make passes now that are too difficult. And Rod's talking to Wingfield, and he's just telling him, come on, D'Antonio. And we got a timeout. Timeout, Trailblazers with 1:08 to 1:05, the Indiana Pacers. Now, you got a tough situation here, Keith. If you're P.J. Carlesimo, Wingfield has carried you a long way today. You almost have a tough decision. You don't want to take the guy out of the game here because you don't want to destroy all of the confidence he's built up this afternoon. But realistically, in a situation like this, you really need some veterans in there to try and get you down the last lap.
Well, there have been some questionable plays coming down the end here. One was the shot that he took that he made. That was a tough shot, and he banked that one home. So then he comes back and figures, well, I've got it going now, and he takes the next three-point shot with 22 seconds left on the shot clock. Right. Not a good shot. Those kind of things will kill you. And then just a moment ago, he had the ball, and he threw it inside to Rod. Rod had his head turned when he threw the ball inside. So I don't think it's a matter at this point of hurting his confidence. I think you've got to get the guy out of the ball game. I mean, these mistakes at this point are going to take you out of this game completely. You cannot have mistakes at this point of the game.
So you have to try and find a way to put somebody in there that can handle the ball and protect it. And on Tuesday night, we'll be seeing a fellow who does a nice job of protecting the ball, Magic Johnson. Before we see him, we'll see Rip City TV in our special starting at 6:30 on our television network. We'll have our pregame at 7:15, and then the Blazers and the Lakers at 7:30 on Channel 8 and the Blazers television network. In the overtime, the Blazers are 2 for 6, 33%. Indiana is perfect at 2 for 2. They are also 4 of 6 at the line. The Blazers have not shot free throw. So the veterans, and they've got veterans on the floor now, Davis and Miller. Antonio Davis. They mix in a rookie in Travis Best. They really think highly of him, apparently. Have him out there instead of Haywood Workman. And Derek McKee.
So even though they're down 3, they don't need the 3. There's plenty of time left.
Yeah, you can make it a 2-possession game. Shot clock at 1. Look at the shot they have to take. And Buck Williams gets it. Blazers didn't have a lot of time coming back. Now you're going to get the Buck. On the cut, there's Rod. Inside. Beautiful move. Changing hands in midair. The old hot pretzel again. And a chance to go to the line for the 3 and a tie.
You don't need the 3-point shot from the outside. Other ways of getting 3. Nice move by Rod. And I've got a question, Eddie, as we've been talking about with Best in the ball game. How about guarding Rod Strickland right here and trailing him down the lane?
I believe that was McKee's foul. If it was, it's 5. And Rod has tied. Derek McKee got that last foul. Watch out for Smith. Stay with him, Cliff. Stay with him, Cliff. You got it. 29 seconds to go. Blazers have a timeout left if they want to take it.
PJ's telling him to run the time off. Run it off the clock. Get a good shot.
Do we end it here or do we see double OT? There's Cliff over the big guy. Out of bounds, Indiana. The Blazers will get it back with 1 second on the shot clock and 6.1 seconds in the overtime. And PJ's all the way down the other end of the floor. We have 1 second on the shot clock, 6:1 on the game clock. And I think they're trying to get some time back.
Watch the decisions that are made here, Eddie. Watch the time is running off, but watch Cliff right there. Look at all the room he's got for a shot, and he dribbles the ball right over to Rick Smits. Now, again, not a good decision at that point in the game. He had the shot. There was nobody there. All he's got to do, this is a better angle. Now watch this. Watch as Rod gives the ball over on the outside to Harvey. Look how much room he's got, and look how much time he had. There was no way Smits was going to get over there to pick him up as he set up for that shot, and he dribbled it right into Rick Smits, and then ended up coming up short on the shot. And there was, look at the shot clock. It said 2, with 2 seconds on the shot clock when that ball went out of bounds.
They're not going to change it. They're going to leave it at 6-1 and 1. 1 second remaining on the shot clock, 6-1 in the period, so the Pacers will have 5 seconds.
Let's take another look here, and let's watch again. Watch I want to show you the defenders as we come into this area down in the lane here. Watch all the room that Cliff has, and he decides to dribble it into Rick Smits. We pick it up. Okay, here's Rod taking it down. Harvey's got the ball. Now watch Harvey quickly as the defender comes to him. That's Dale Davis. Now look at this whole area over here. Look at Rick Smits starting to come out, and right here, nobody home. All Cliff has to do is put the ball down on the floor, look at the basket, instead of dribbling it, taking it right into Smits. Now up above, we saw on the other angle, the shot clock was at 2 right there. As we go up, there's the 2, and yet they don't change it.
And Harvey, or I should say TJ, still talking to Nolan Fine about it, getting no gratification at all. Only 1 second, as I've said 10 times, 1 second remaining on the shot clock, 6.1 on the game clock in the overtime. Here's where Sabonis would help you. The delay of game warning against Indiana. You only get one of those. So now they'll have to defend, and look, it would be good if the Blazers could get fouled here. You got Wingfield inbounding the ball. My goodness gracious.
Once again.
108, and they burn their last time out here in the overtime. They had 1 left. The Pacers have 2. So that means the Blazers have got to find a way to get the play done now, and Indiana more than likely will call a timeout to try and set up one more play. Well, the Blazers are out of timeouts. Indiana has 2. And right now, we still have no Pacers who are really in deep jet. Well, I shouldn't say that. Derek McKee and Antonio Davis have 5 fouls. The Blazers have already lost Chris Dudley and Aaron McKee. And Wingfield is playing with 5, so there are 3 people right now that are in jeopardy of fouling out should this game go into a double overtime.
You know, I'll tell you, you give Wingfield a lot of credit. Look how tightly the defenders are up all over the floor, and if you think they were tight that time, now there's a little bit of space here, but I'll tell you what, I give Wingfield a lot of credit. Instead of throwing the ball away, getting panicky in that situation, throwing a bad pass right then, at least they've got possession. They've got another opportunity here. Granted, only 1 second.
For our viewers, watch how Indiana defends the people on the floor. Watch what they try and do to take Rod Strickland out of it from getting to the ball. Now they got Mark Jackson defending on the base, which means McKee is out on Rod. Harvey tries to pop free. They got to get it away. Cliff lets it go. Oh, off the rim. And here comes Indiana. They won't have time for a timeout. McKee will not get it away, and we're going to double overtime. Double overtime. So doubled your money's worth in overtime. And the Blazers are going to have to take it a little bit longer to see if they can pull one out today. The referee right here, that's Jim Capers Jr., and he says, oh, I missed my plane. Yeah, bowl of dinner, Mom. It's going to be a little cold when I get there tonight.
Why do you think that they had a timeout left, didn't they, Indiana?
Indiana did it. They had 2 timeouts. And
with 6 seconds left, they got possession of the ball. Why didn't they call timeout?
Well, I thought that's what I had said, that I thought perhaps if they got the ball, they would immediately call a timeout, set up one play.
And especially if they had 2 timeouts left, because Mark Jackson did advance the ball a little bit, and maybe he figured since if he called the timeout then, they wouldn't be able to get it at half court because he advanced it. But if they had 2, then they'd be able to call the second one, get it at half court.
Well, the thing you got to do now is that everything starts all over again. And, of course, the Blazers without McKee and Dudley, that's shorthanded to start with. And then they never had Sabonis. And so these other people are having to get extra minutes, and hopefully they can get enough energy to get through this next overtime. 5 minutes, and, of course, everything resets. You get the usual 4 fouls on the 4th. You shoot the penalty. Each team gets 3 timeouts. There are no 20s left, so they don't carry forward. So everybody is all even going into this second overtime period.
And you mentioned the fact that foul situation, Derek McKee and Antonio Davis, both with 5 for Indiana.
Right. The Blazers shoot 30% in the first overtime. Indiana, 67%. Now, the fellow we want to keep an eye on here is the big guy, Rick Smits. Mark Jackson is out there to run the show right now. But Smits is a guy, if they continue to look to pound it inside with the small lineup the Blazers have got, it's going to be exceedingly difficult for them to prevent him from getting his deep post position.
Eddie, the other second overtime game of the year, the Blazers were victorious over Houston back on December 10th.
And the guy who won that was Arvydas Sabonis.
And where is he?
With a rebound and a little 7-foot baby hook.
Where is he today?
Feet up, head on the pillow. Working on some Tylenol, hopefully. He's deep. That's too tough. He missed it. And Smits knows it. That's like a free lunch when he gets that deep.
Good job by Cliff, keeping him away from the basket as well as he did.
Cliff on the screen to try and give Jackson a little bit of bother pressure. Cliff steps around Reggie. Tough shot.
Bullet.
Shot it early again. And Cliff is now 10 for 28 from the floor. But he's contributed mightily. In the other areas, like defensively, here's Miller. He's been way off.
Well,
that's a dry.
You don't come up 3 feet short like that without getting hit on the arm.
I'm sure he did, and they missed another one. And Larry Brown is all over Jim Capers.
He sure is. And Jim Capers responded to him. He said, "It wasn't my call."
Larry just said your dad wouldn't have missed that one. D'Antonio Wingfield. Dale Davis with the shirt out. They got to tell him to tuck it in. That's a league rule.
You tell him.
Oh, here I am, officiating on top of everything else. McKee, Jackson flares out. They give McKee room to work on Wingfield. Nothing. Wingfield doing a great job defensively. He really has grown up today. I mean, he's done a job. 108, 108. Hasn't been entirely pretty, but for the most part, has he responded? Look at Rod, blocked by the Dutchman. And out of bounds, and that was a clean block. And you notice how Rod saw the Dutch guy coming in there and turned his back to the Dutchman and protected the ball with a body, and he still blocked it.
Still didn't have enough reach.
Yeah, here's a fashion statement.
He heard you. He heard you. There he goes. Here, this is for you, Eddie. Let me tuck this in. Let me tuck the back part in. Leave the front out.
That's a partial tuck. You only pay half the price on that. Bill Blass would not be proud of him.
7 seconds.
6 and ticking. Back to Clifford. Come on, Cliff. Bango! 111, 108, 303 to play in the OT. All of that's taken about 2 minutes. Here's Eddie Johnson. He can shoot. Not this time. That baby cuffed it and popped out. Oh, they're working hard today, aren't they? Strickland, Harvey Grant, Cliff Robinson, D'Antonio Wingfield.
Oh, look at the physical battle going on inside. Cliff and Antonio Davis for position.
2 seconds. Cliff tries to get a pass off and a 24-second violation. And D'Antonio was spotted up out here, and he says, Cliff, you got to get me the ball.
He was telling Cliff he was wide open on the play.
Cliff was saying something else, so a little miscommunication by the troops. Here's Larry Brown. Just a magnificent job of coaching this team for Brown. I mean, he resurrected this franchise, he and Donnie Waltz.
Donnie masterminded the deal, bringing Larry in.
Now they're going to take a timeout. This is a timeout. A full timeout. They have no 20s remaining. And with 2:25 to play here in the overtime, it's 111-108 Portland. Remember what the rules say. If you use your 20 seconds before you get to overtime, you get nothing new. If you don't, if you haven't, they carry forward. The timeouts you have left over from the fourth quarter don't carry over into the overtime. You get 3 timeouts in the overtime period for each team. Plus, on the 4th team foul, you shoot the penalty.
This is true. Neither team shooting the ball very well here in the second overtime. Portland 1 of 4. Indiana 0 for 4. Guys are getting a little tired, huh? Indiana's really happy to go home after this ball game, the 4th of 4 West Coast ball games.
Yeah, they had a tough one down there in Phoenix with you folks last week, didn't they?
They lost in Phoenix, they lost in Utah, then they went up to Vancouver and beat them on Friday night.
Well, you got to beat the teams on the road, and it's never easy going west, just like it's never easy going east. At the end of the first overtime, it was 108-108. At the end of regulation, it was 100-100. Right now, the Blazers are being out-rebounded by 2 boards by the Indiana Pacers. And we're getting into the long shadows of the afternoon here in Portland.
And as you would expect, the 2 guys that have really come to the fore for the Blazers, Robinson and Strickland.
(111-108), big day for D'Antonio Wingfield. As I've said, a terrific boost to this young man's growth as an NBA player after having labored in anonymity pretty much for 2 years. Travis Best trying to get it to Rick Smits.
That's pretty tough to overthrow that target.
Now that's like trying to throw one over the Penobscot building in Detroit. You know what that is?
No.
Neither do I.
No.
But I think there's one.
Sure don't.
111-108. The Trailblazers by 3. Big turnover, and we're down to 2 minutes. Pick and slip. Cliff, shy. Buck, he's there by himself. Clear it out. And Rod and the Blazers get a fresh clock. 1:47 remaining in the overtime.
But Buck can still do that. He can clear out that territory under the basket.
Now look, they've got Smits on Buck because he is probably their weakest defensive player they have on the front line.
And look at Cliff has got Best on him, and then it gets thrown away.
Boy, oh boy. What a turnover that was with 1:32 to play.
Cliff was down in the post. Best, at best 6 feet tall, guarding him. Big mismatch.
And a foul on Cliff trying to fight over the pick by Rick Smits. And Reggie Miller's over talking to Jim Capers, who did not make the call, about saying, come on, isn't it about time you made that call? That's a set play they run with Reggie Miller all the time, where they bring him from the opposite side along the base, and they use the big man to brush pick the defender. And that time Cliff had to try and fight through. So the Blazers with their first team foul here in the second overtime.
And Cliff just picked up his 4th personal foul.
Reggie, you gotta hope he doesn't get hot, and he still isn't. Reggie Miller is really having a chilly day. He's 3 for 19. 1:03 remaining. And the sands of time are not working in Indiana's favor right now. They pop Cliff to the middle. They can't get it to him.
Oh, the shot clock is down to 3. Look at that shot.
Gosh. Blazers getting bad shot selections and a 24-second violation. That ball never hit the rim. That's a good call by Jim Capers. This is where D'Antonio Wingfield is having a problem because of inexperience. He's reluctant to make the pass. He doesn't want to make a mistake, which is understandable.
Absolutely.
And he's using good discretion at times, but at other times, he's got to get help from his teammates to work free to come to the ball.
And he just got caught there. There was nothing he could do with the ball at that point. He had to put it up from about 28 or 9 feet out.
Smits is deep. No foul.
Oh, Cliff blocked it.
Cliff has had 3 huge blocks today. Huge blocks by Cliff Robinson.
And Cliff turned around to the official and he gave him a little head nod and said, thank you for not making a call. That was a good block.
What a job defensively. Cliff Robinson showing glimpses of what he was defensively 4 years ago. Rod, Wingfield.
Now again, he's caught. It's down to 2.
There's Rod with a second left. Can you get it back? They can't get it back. We're down to 5 seconds remaining in the steal. The Blazers are going to win this, baby, in double overtime.
Cliff stole that ball from Reggie Miller, knocked it away.
My goodness gracious. Wow. What a gutty effort today. The Blazers down 35-20 early, came back, worked it to a 12-point lead. Cliff with a great defensive move at the Pacers' offensive end, and the Blazers are going to get it back right here.
Here's Reggie trying to dribble by Cliff, knocked it away from him. Rod comes up with the ball.
And Miller with a foul.
And how about only 3 points being scored in this whole overtime period, the second one?
Tells you what you can do when you play a little defense. There's Cliff foul with 2.7 seconds remaining in the second overtime.
And Winfield again inbounding the ball and doing a nice job getting it into Cliff.
Well, he has had to learn on the job today. D'Antonio Wingfield, remember, he bailed out of college after his freshman year. Was it his freshman or sophomore year at Cincinnati? He played 1 year at Cincinnati. He had a 16-point average, 9 rebounds in 29 games, and opted to go to the NBA. Was picked in the second round. And here he is, which would be his junior year in college. He's not expected to graduate till next year. Cliff Robinson has delivered today at the foul line.
Leave it, giving him an opportunity to come back.
McKee with Jackson, Miller, Dale Davis with a screen, in and out, no, it's over, and the Blazers are 3-3 in overtime. They've won 2 in a row. They split the season series with the Indiana Pacers, and they win one in double OT, the second double OT win this year for them, with their certainly premier center, Arvydas Sabonis, on the 6th shelf. A final score, Portland 113, Indiana 108.